for the day. You ever remember a high temperature being 48? We're only a few degrees off from New York City. It's looking like winter weather here. So to the story in about 2 months from the ultimate time that climate change is the highest temperature ever for the year. And the most progressive average temperatures for 2022 were record high. There's no more drought. We have no global warming here in California. Now it's cold and it's wet and it's record snowfall. It's up in the mountains. I learned a new meteorological term. No water equivalent. Have you heard of that one? No water equivalent? To convert snow into how much water. There is water depth of snow with liquid. Yeah. And the latest storm increased the state's snow water equivalent by around 4 inches to 42 inches. So most of us can watch, once it spreads the snow. Yeah, I know. I just explained that to my family. So someone, that's all that water. We heard about your drought. Put out rain barrels. And I said, well, the policy, although you see, Newsom made a move because the farmers to move more water and not the damage. And I guess it was announced last week. I'm on some of the water. Farmers. I'm so sick of hearing about the thing. I really am. Sick of those things. The state has a long history like a suicide pact. Sure does. Shouldn't salmon, you grow them in those salmon farms that the Quinn doctor was talking about the other day. Right? They'll build a big bathtub or something and grow the salmon there. Nothing. They'll just melt. And nobody eats that. The delta smelt is this crazy little 2-inch pit. And I've seen photos of it, and you don't want to look at this stuff. That's an ugly little thing. It can't possibly do any good damage. Right. You should have went up to your mountain house. It looks like people got snowed in up there. Up to the Dallas. Dallas got snowed in. Well, the heat, I saw one place at 93 inches. It's all on a high mountain. I saw some media there. There's a site devoted to the development area we live in. And people were showing that they were back in their homes. You open the front door, and you've got about 4 or 5 feet of snow right in front of you, right at the door. And they have to shovel your way through it. The snow is halfway up to their window. And in fact, what did I do last night? One of the CDUs, a couple of families has decided to rent out a place. And they didn't pack enough food because they thought they were going to go home Sunday. I just got to go to school with them and the can. And so the husband is sent down, tracked all the way down the mountain to get to the grocery store, and then all the way back up to 5 hours. Oh, they're like definitely, yeah. The 5 hours you have to venture out. That's boring. Yeah, and it's easy to do because depending on how you use the place, you can go up there for a weekend, and then maybe you're not back for a month, right? So you don't buy a lot of food. Because it's just all going to go back, you're going to throw it out, and, who's expecting something like this? And they do a pretty good job there in the main roads up there, but, yeah, there's no business there. No, this happened so quickly, like 6 feet of snow, right, in the short period of time. I mean, we've been up there since 05, and I don't ever remember anything close to that. So we've been to snow shows up there, and power's gone out, and all the whole thing. Right? If you go up there often enough, you'll learn something that's beyond off the charts. Yeah, I'm seeing that a number of people are stuck in the San Bernardino Mountains because of the heavy snow. They're stuck in their homes. I don't want to hear about any joke in it. I haven't heard anybody go hiking. No refugees. And they never found that actor that was in the thing, right? Did you see that story? Oh, yeah. Months ago, there was an actor that went hiking and there's nothing found. Those stands, I believe, is the one. Well, I actually remember this, the movie with the people over now, but I remember the name of the saw that. Like, they found another guy that was out hiking, but they didn't find him. And this is before the storm. Yeah, hiking, so ridiculous. I mean, I've seen, some of the hiking spots, and it's really steep, and it's really narrow, and you're right on the edge of the cliff. And you have loose rocks and dirt next to you, and there's a lot of erosion and a lot of water. You take one step, and boom, you're down 3,000 feet. You're in a snowbank, and that's where the animals are coming taking care of the rest of you. Well, that's what happens. Yeah, sometimes find a body like months later. Yeah, probably it's happened to walk the same area, and occasionally they find, a group of bones at the bottom of the cliff, and oh yeah, that's the guy that fell, back in January. Yeah, after the silver. Like, poor fella. But don't do that. Yeah, there's so much other things. Just don't do it. And it turns out, you're right. You're right. We read a couple of weeks ago that there was a feeling that mid-February, the rain conditions were going to come back to SoCal, and they have, obviously, for the last week. But now they're thinking it may linger through March. That we may get another rainy month after this. Not a heavy rain. Nobody's predicting the incredible thing we saw last week. It's like this is, there's no light of rain, but this is stuff I don't know. It's something odd that I do. I see a lot about this, but I like to see when our weather passes through California, if it gets through the head east. Where does it go? And also, you do see a couple days later, the East Coast gets a big snowstorm, or Chicago. So I was like, all right, Friday night is that. Those winds were incredible. I mean, I thought everything was going to blow off my house. The big satellite dish on top, or there was a huge wind. But it was Friday night. Yeah. So I just knew they go. And it wasn't until today that I looked at a website and saw, oh my God, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma had huge tornadoes. That's where the winds went. What are they called? Directos? Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled VirECHO. And it's similar to a tornado, except the wind blows straight. It's like it's going straight ahead, rather than whirling, right, and wrecking the home. But it causes similar damage to tornadoes in a straight line. Yeah, I heard the usual guy on the news, I forget which city within Oklahoma. Well, I've been here a long time. I never seen things like this. Gone through here. And you have a lot of people, some people living in the mobile homes. But right in front of the iHeart Street here in Burbank, 2 trees are dead. Oh, three. Three. No kidding. I saw 2 right in front of the, there's a third one behind the second one. It's just planted these like 2 months ago. Oh. Was the eucalyptus on your property or next door to your property stayed up? Yeah, but that is big genius. Oh, we were looking at it this morning. One guy living behind us, he's got about 4 of these huge trees, and from what I understand, I didn't talk to him directly, he doesn't want to hear about it. So if they go down, it's fresh and dark. Or a couple of other things, depending on which way the wind's blowing. Depending on the damage, there could be a legal situation there. And if you hear it, it'll be down. Yeah, so we got 2 trees down right in the pavilion area in front of the building. Right. So I think, oh yeah, let's take a little movie of the damn trees today. Oh yeah. Wow, look at this. Wow. Didn't work. Yeah, they just planted those like 2 months ago. They did a whole new like landscaping in the like. Oh yeah, yeah, that's probably why they did it. That's well. Now they have yellow crime scene tape all around the tree. They do that. Try to be careful. The tree's already fallen. It's not going to hit you, but just don't walk into it on the ground. I guess that's what that is. All right, we got more coming up. Oh, there's things back in the news. We have an update on former Mayor Yoga, his great former Mayor Yoga, sent his India Ambassador nomination. And then, this is not earth-shattering news because a lot of government agencies have been looking at the origins of COVID, but there's one that issued a report over the weekend saying that, at least according to their research, it was probably a land leak. And this set off a firestorm that you might expect in the whole community of this kind of research. Sorry about all this stuff coming up. 9:10, 640. We're live everywhere at the iHeart Radio app. And Vermont's off today. And we have things in the You're facing away from the camera. You look straight at me. Okay, you're behind a microphone and video. You got to do. The economy is split on where the U.S. economy is heading this year. Inflation is falling, but remains stubbornly high, and the job market is still hot, and the Fed is still scratching its head. Twitter and Tesla CEO Elon Musk is defending Gilbert comic strip creator Scott Adams after Adams recommended on YouTube that white people get away from black people. The jury in the Alex Murdaugh double murder trial in South Carolina is going to get a look at the scene of the crime tomorrow. Those go places. Let's get back to Woodland Hills.
We've been tough last year on the 101 Countdown Running to Soto Round, and the Jacktown Big Rig, the two right lanes are blocked because of it, and you're stopped coming away from the Holland Drive. In South LA, the ones in South Central Manchester Avenue, good news, they cleared their cross from the middle ones over the right shoulder, still slow though, from Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. In Stillmar, the southbound 5 truck connector is still closed from an earlier incident. In South El Monte on the 60 west to the 605 transition. They cleared that left to the right shoulder, and they're going to be reopening that transition through 60 West has delayed from 7th Street. So that line in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it. This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. Want to be 100% certain about your taxes? Jackson Hewitt, that's your return for life. Keep today with 50% off tax prep. 50% off is a limited time offer for new clients signing with participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50%.
Best-selling author David Horowitz has a new bestseller, Final Battle, that reveals a not-so-secret war in America. Before the Democrats in a new woke generation are remaking our country and its institutions. That's what Horowitz says. Final Battle reveals Joe Biden and big media plans, according to Horowitz, to stop Trump and DeSantis in 2024. And Horowitz won't even name his name. There's a secret fighter who says there's woke ideology. That's Final Battle, and taking free author. Call 1-800-NEWSNAP. That's 1-800-NEWSNAP. So go to finalbattle611.com and get your free copies today. Did you get your free tire at Big O Tires? That's right. After March 26th, buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation. Wet weather means sloppy roads. So what are you waiting for? Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Now at your neighborhood Big O Tires. For your nearest store, visit BigOTires.com. Win Las Vegas Rocket Field. You are awakening a new theatrical experience created by award-winning artists. Enriched by spectacular sound, new colorful characters, and journey with them through wondrous realms. Experience Awakening. Get your tickets at awakening.com. Contact your license 1047 Here are some homeowner headaches we fit to go. One is our team Rejuvenation, where we help you prevent breakdowns by performing 6 critical adjustments for just $129. Another one is more on-call drainage drains, which will save you hours with a 30-foot drainage drain. We're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And our drain clearance service is just $80. So nice, our debit card. It'll air conditioning and plumbing. TCL.com. We do things the right way, not the easy way. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire the largest injury firm in the world for your injury case? Lots of people hired it. We've collected over $15 billion and won a lot. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. It is no secret that cities add chlorine to your water, but once it gets to your house, you don't want it in your body or drying out your skin and hair. Hey, this is New Shark with the solution, a Light Source water system. Light Source filters all the water in your home, reducing the harsh taste and feel of chlorine and giving you softer skin and hair from every tap. No salt, no maintenance. Get yours today by calling 800-803-2696 or visit lightsourcewater.com. Light Source, taste and feel the difference. There's nothing illogical about passing a law that says 14-year-olds can have an open carry weapon. And I want to know how far down that goes. 10-year-olds? 8-year-olds? They'll handle. Once it's too heavy for you to carry, I say you shouldn't be allowed to carry it. Well put. Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. We've got a big show. KFI and 340 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. All right, coming up after 1:30, we will go through the reports that popped out over the weekend that the U.S. Department of Energy, and of course, the first time I saw that, I said, why would the U.S. Department of Energy be involved in the audit of COVID-19? Well, they oversee the laboratory. And of course, that's a big part of the story. And some of the laboratories investigate the bioweapons research, yes, that's going on. Part of so they issued a report, they issued a report with like low confidence that COVID-19 may have reached from a lab. All right, so there's other agencies that investigating this, but they are agreeing with the FBI that their conclusion. We'll get into this and give you all the details after the news at 1:30. We have a press release that came out on Friday from U.S. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. Rubio places committee hold on 7 Joe Biden nominees. And guess who is at the top of the 7? Eric Garcetti, nominated to serve as U.S. Ambassador to India. His nomination Rubio has previously voted against. He's with the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. nominees have ignored credible sexual assault accusations in his prior office. That's what Garcetti is talking about. How does anybody refute that? Other than Garcetti's denial of reality. That's exactly what he did. Now, this is the Democrat, one of the Democrats' has been sexual harassment in the workplace, right? Definitely censorship, me too. Right. And again, Garcetti's the one that set up a special hotline number for people to report it. That's right. And so during the Me Too era, the targets were Harvey Weinstein on down, and you saw big names all over the place get their careers destroyed. From it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was straight or gay or what. Like, you saw Kevin Spacey, you saw Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, Weinstein, there's some other lesser known but still very major, powerful Hollywood figures. And so why should Garcetti be any different? So, and as usual, they like to say, well, not just harassment, but anybody that covers this up. Anybody in a higher position who refuse to deal with the complaints that were right in front of their face should be punished. Silence is violence. Right, that's their phrase. And anybody who knows anything about politics knows what happened next. Several, and actually many, loyalists to Garcetti just stood up and refused to cooperate with what was reality. In this case, just his former top aide was harassing all sorts of employees all over the place in that office. And with just a few brave people went outside the circle and called it like it was. And that's why the senators in Washington, D.C., so far, they're mostly Republican. There's a couple of Democrats who say, there's probably truth to this, because it's hard to get people to cross-shatter that circle of trust where we're heading for big things with Garcetti. Don't rock the boat and talk about what really happened. Yeah, there's 4 Democratic senators who will not commit to voting for Garcetti, including the 2 Arizona senators, Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, and Kristen Sinema, although she has switched to independent status. Basically, there wasn't a one senator who even had her down so far about the nomination. I think Kristen Gillibrand in New York, she was also withholding her vote, and I've seen a couple other names listed. He can't get the 51 votes. So what does it mean if Rubio took a hold on it? Is that stay up alone, or a hold means you can't just use a unanimous voice vote to move his nomination along. Now everybody's got to go on the record and vote yay or nay. And the Times says they were supposed to take up the nomination tomorrow. Under committee rules, any member can postpone a vote on a nominee until the next committee meeting. That means the vote on Garcetti will not take place tomorrow. So, I don't know when the next meeting is, but if you're a week later or a month, the Senate has an endless number of ways to tie up a nominee, to tie up legislation. It is the most difficult, constipated governing body you'll ever see. And one of them is that a single senator can put a hold. And not only that, but all the senators like to have that privilege. So unless it's really abusive and egregious, senators from another party aren't going to probably join in the room because they want their shot to do it to a Republican nominee down the road. Right. So it's like, okay, like I said, that's too bad. Boy, yeah, we really like it. Hey, whatever. They just go along with it. Yeah. And what's surprising is, at the very least, Rubio wants to say himself in front of the committee and just totally debate himself and admit to everything he saw. And then explain why, if he saw all this, he didn't do anything about it. The first time around, only one member was committed, Democratic senator from New Hampshire. He did ask him about the sexual harassment allegations, but I recall he was soft because it was. They were usually you honor the president's nominees, especially for low-level positions, because this is the formalities. Everybody rubber stamps and goes along. And once there's something egregious, nobody wants to make waves. Again, partly because they got other things to do, partly because when their president is in and making nominations, they don't want the Democrats to pull the same routine. But the Secretary can really stand out. And one of the reasons is you have his communications found a nearly seriously a Democrat come out and was very public about what was going on in the office and how much Bart Betty stuck his head in the dirt. That made all the difference. That was the combination got through the first committee. But before it got to the Senate floor, he signed up with that whistleblower organization, and they made a lot of noise about this. It made its way to a Republican senator's office, Chuck Grassley, and then he opened an investigation into the accusations, and they concluded that Garcetti knew or should have known. Open about was taken. So that was key to the flowing that whistleblower goes behind it. So there's layers to this. First of all, a lot of tawdry stuff went on that Garcetti knew about and didn't stop. Secondly, you have Democrats uncomfortable with this, and a Democratic communications director who's doing a lot of the whistleblowing. And thirdly, with what Randy Stevens says is true, and all the other witnesses, then you have Garcetti lying to the Senate panel. And he's committed perjury. They have to deal with approving a guy that they know lied to them in the committee. How do you deal with that? He was also under oath in the lawsuit. He was in a lawsuit for that. So the police officer that was his bodyguard, yeah, he was also under oath. And he took a deposition and he denied also. So he's lied several times in legal situations. And not just for talking to the media. And they don't know what else is coming. They don't know if there are other witnesses that have even uglier stories. They don't know if there's other victims involving other members of the staff. Because there's a lot of crap that's going on in Garcetti's office. And we didn't get to there on trial for corruption. It's still going on right now. Well, that's because tie them up in that whole development corruption and everything. I mean, it's not really so far. It was a dirty, filthy place in many different ways. Now, the end of the Times update on this says that the former mayor has told people he has a plan to fix Ukraine, although it's unclear why he would head to that country. But then he spoke to decline to comment on the trip. I mean, why would he just because everyone else is going? Did he volunteer? Or is that going to be what that ambassador said to him? I don't know. Why would you go to Ukraine? What are you going to do there? It's just here in the news. I have no idea what he did. What is ego back? What a colossal ego back. Where can I go to get noticed? Oh, I know. I'll exploit all the suffering of millions of Ukrainians who are getting bombed to death by the Russians. I'll go there. And you what? I don't remember anybody asking for you to come. All right, an update came out from the U.S. Department of Energy about COVID-19's origin. And they believe, more likely than not, it did come from a lab leak. From update to Johnny 10:5, AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. And Jeff Ross stop today. We got Jason Hilton live in the 24-hour KFI News. Water officials say all the recent rain in Southern California will help stockpile water for future use. That's exactly what happened this last period with current dry spell that we had. We had a really healthy storage that helped us get through the last few years. Mr. Polydell is with the Metropolitan Water District and says because of the storms up north and here in the southern basin, the prognosis is good for this year, though the actual amount of water allocated will be up to the state. Polydell says it takes 4 million acre-feet of water per year to serve 19 million customers. News is brought to you by the Cunning Dental Implant Center. A man in Montclair has been shot and killed. Police say the man was found this morning on Holt Boulevard with at least 1 gunshot wound to his lower abdomen. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. The Montclair Police Department is asking anyone with information to come forward. Winter, a band with Mad Riz will play at High Point Amphitheater in Irvine on September 2nd. Boone and White Reaper also on that bill. The hits just keep on coming with Wu-Tang Clan and Nas playing Yamava Theater in Highland. That's on October 22nd. Tickets for both of these shows goes public Friday. So in California weather from KFI, light rain today, off and on for LA and OC, highs in the mid-50s. The off and on light rain does continue overnight and into tomorrow. Tonight goes to the lower 40s. Tomorrow partly cloudy, a little less rain than usual. Highs will work as usual. Highs in the mid-50s. Tuesday is basically second Monday. Now let's check in with Jimmy Harmon because he has a check on waterlogged Silmar and the Fox.
That's right, at 5 northbound, right at San Fernando Road, the 2 left lanes are flooded out. On the southbound side, the truck connected to close from an earlier incident. Woodland Hills on the 101 south side of DeSoto Avenue. Still got that jackknife big rig blocking the two right lane in Glendale, 5 south at Rose Dealers. Brand new wreck in the center divider area. You're going to be having off the bridge from the 134 down to the 10 and Diamond Bar. It's Susan found right at Old Plains Road. Brand new accident. Looks like the right lane is blocked and a semi is on fire. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jim Harner.
David Harwood thinks the 2024 election could be America's last. That's the startling conclusion in his new best-selling book. Yeah, his new bestseller is called Final Battle. David Harwood, he reveals that after he said is led by far less Democrats, big media, and a new woke generation looking to forever change U.S. culture within our schools, our churches, and our military. Harwood explains how attacks on our electoral college, Supreme Court, the integrity of the electoral system, and other customs undermines the possibility of bipartisan solutions to common problems. Harwood sees Americans speaking in different and antagonistic political languages, with the two parties so polarized that he thinks the American way of life itself is at risk. Harwood thinks the players working behind the scenes to undermine our enduring institutions. Find Final Battle in book 4 and check out the free offer and save $28. Just call 1-800-NEWSMAX, that's 1-800-NEWSMAX, or go online to finalbattle611.com. Finalbattle611.com to get your free copy today. Attention accredited investors looking to invest in commercial real estate. Invest with First National Realty Partners. Join more than 2,000 accredited investors who collect rent from Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, Kroger, Publix, and many more. Partner with First National Realty Partners and get access to commercial real estate investments reserved for elite private institutions. Get all the benefits of fully passive real estate ownership, like tax write-offs, quarterly cash distributions, limited liability structures, and the potential for upside and exit. Call now to get information about all of our regions and upcoming projects and learn how you can invest in deals that most people will never find. Call 888-301-9010 or go to MNRTRadio.com. Start enjoying the benefits that thousands of accredited investors are already earning. Securities are only available to verified accredited investors. Investments are subject to risk, including office principal. Cash distributions are not guaranteed. Any representations made about investment security reflect FNRT strategy and may or may not be realized. Visit FNRTRadio.com. How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? If you're thinking about borrowing on your home equity, your odds of getting more out of your home is probably higher now than it will be next year. I certainly believe that. Some experts predict that property values might decline over the next few years, making it more challenging for borrowers to tap into that home equity. If you need $75,000 or more, HMS Capital can help you borrow the money you need with the equity you built. So whether you want to consolidate debt, make home improvements, or whatever your situation may be, HMS Capital, they have the best solution to help you. No appraisal, credit report fees to apply. I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly, I'm a fan. I believe they are thinking the best of what they do. Call 833-255-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com. If you get hurt in an accident, choose the law firm with the experience to win. Choose Sylvia Myers. Answer forward.
And iHeart Radio station.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. John Kovalsky, KCM, Boat KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. From 1 until 4, after 4 o'clock, you can hear us on the podcast, also on the iHeartRadio app. Johnny K on demand. That's the way to go. All right, coming up after 2 o'clock, we'll talk about the Palestinians. The Palestinians? The Palestinians. I know, Palestine, Ohio, yes. Yeah, East Palestine, Ohio, where, of course, we have that trains or rail with toxic chemicals in the air. We are now getting more substantial reports that don't help us. And the people that live there, Aaron Brockovich, who mentioned that they were there late last week, not buying the BS. That is all clear as far as the air and water is concerned in that community. We'll bring you the latest in about 30 minutes on that story. We had a report that popped up over the weekend from the U.S. Department of Energy. They concluded that the COVID pandemic most likely arose from a lab leak. This is a classified intelligence report. Yep, they were undecided previously. In an update they gave out in 2021, Now they join the FBI with the belief that it's likely the virus spread through a mishap at a Chinese laboratory. Now, there are 4 other agencies, along with some national intelligence panels, that think it was natural transmission. And then there were 2 other agencies that were undecided. So if you're keeping a scoreboard on this, not that it matters, people are believing what they want to believe on this story. Yeah, except there's also truth, because I have no interest in what wacky people believe in. I heard Dr. Robert Redfield today getting interviewed. Not Redfield, but Redfield. He was the director of the CDC at the time of the outbreak. And he went on, early on, and said this was likely from that Wuhan lab. And I heard him interviewed today, and he said, I got attacked by my hometown newspaper, where I live with my family and my grandchildren, on the front page repeatedly calling me a racist. And he said, here is why it's likely that the virus went out of the test tube into human beings and spread. Because they were trying to claim that this is like the SARS virus and the MERS virus, which are 2 older viruses that were outbreaks almost 20 years ago. And he said the missing piece though was those were animal-oriented viruses. They did jump to humans, but in a very limited way. I think he said MERS affected less than 1,000 people. He said this was different in that it jumped to humans and spread insanely, very quickly. And he said, why? Because in the lab, they trained the virus to gain a function. Right, gain a function. The purpose of the lab was to see if they could enhance the virus and make it spread more easily. Now, you ask yourself, why would they do that? Well, the market, the reason is, you now have a new biological weapon. The story that researchers give is, well, in the future, if you get a virus that mutates rapidly, we can get ahead of it and have vaccines ready to deal with it. Or maybe a false story. Remember, this is coming out of China. And it just reminded me, and I actually heard somebody play the clip today, the guy who got it right was John Stewart. He said if you have a coronavirus, John Stewart, the community, you have to TV show, Comedy Central. Right. But he was a guest with Stephen Colbert. And he went, I remember that. Yeah. Right. And he said, well, if you have this novel coronavirus, and then in Wuhan you have the Institute of Novel Coronaviruses, where do you think it came from? And he said it would be like being in Hershey, Pennsylvania, if there was an outbreak of chocolate goodliness. Well, then where would it be coming from? It would be coming from Hershey. How could you not see that? They have never found a single animal with this virus anywhere in China. And 3 of the researchers got really sick in November of 2019. Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah, in the hospital. So this is not an outrageous theory, but, oh my God, you go through the list of media outlets that called everybody and their mother racist if you suggested that it came out of China. And why this was, I don't know. I don't know why all these left-wing progressives had such an investment in protecting the Chinese Communist Party. Because that's who ran the Wuhan lab. That's who covered up the investigation. That's who largely was financing the research. That's who launched the balloon over our country. That's right. And Dr. Fauci did funded that zigzagged around and ended up in Wuhan. It did, yeah. That's right. Right. And part of it was doing the function research. So this is not a big mystery. It actually makes perfect sense. The whole story lines up A to B to C to D to E. Now, yes, and because we can't get actual access to the ground zero possibilities of Wuhan lab, it makes it difficult for anybody to say conclusively. Like I said, the Energy Department report came out with what they call moderate confidence, low confidence. The FBI, the FBI has moderate confidence. But I would say, what is the purpose of shutting down the conversation from over there? They did this on all the social media channels. If you wrote about the China, let's complicate this with Trump. Because he came out immediately, with the Kung Flu. Yeah, and that's just, Trump is always a racist, so all the media jumped on that. and they would never accept any lab leak theory and consequences due to it. You know, and that's really wrong, but that's not science. You can have your fanaticism, it's free country, you can have your phobias about Trump, whatever it is, whatever Trump does to your brain, fine. But that's not science, and it's not journalism. Now you're just a bunch of people in the schoolyard calling each other names. You're a bunch of idiots. Right. But and that's what really complicated the entire world the last 6 years was Trump. Because, you know, you can talk about the Hunter Biden laptop, it's all these stories, they 12 statistical conspiracy, it's crazy people, the Russian dossiers, and now the lab leak theory, they're all just undermined because if they come anywhere from the Trump camp or anyone that Trump would support on that issue, we have to scrub. They're either racist or just a medical theory. Interestingly enough, the spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry was just today on this report, and I have to tell you, her name is Mao Ning. Mao, like German now. Anyway, this was not a science-based authoritarian conclusion, and she pointed to the World Health Organization / Chinese study, which revealed that it was more likely from a natural origin. In China, you talk about that not being credible. The Chinese are the primary funder of the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization was forced to cover up what was happening in China in the early months. It happened in November, the lab leak. We didn't really know about it until January. And in December, the story started popping up about some strange flu in China. I remember they never allowed any investigation early on. They lied constantly. The Chinese Communist Party is right up there with Russia. What they do is they publicly lie about everything, especially things that put them in a bad light. So if they make a pronouncement, you can assume safely that it's probably the opposite. Right. And I don't know if they were embarrassed. It doesn't seem like there's any evidence they did this on purpose, but and certainly blew back on them pretty hard over the 3 years. Oh, and by the way, that the United Nations World Health Organization Chinese report, they've been appointed half the research on the mission, restricted the team's access to critical data, and blocked the World Health Organization's attempt to conduct a phase 2 study that would include a review of Wuhan's surroundings. So, clearly, just reading that paragraph alone tells you the fix within, and that's not a credible report. No, and this is just perfectly in line with their character. It's like they're still claiming that the balloon was a weather balloon when we have the fire equipment. Yeah. We've already announced that we have determined this was fire equipment, and they're still claiming it's a weather balloon. I mean, and they're comical, but this is what we're dealing with. The question is, and Trump didn't need the entire answer to it. But if it isn't Trump, what was the obsession of so many people in the news to squash, not just squash the information, but try to demonize and smear anybody who offered the opposite theory? Who just said, hey, we should check in and see if this was a lab leak and not an animal. And then you were vilified from here to the end of time. Viciously. From the very beginning of this, it was Dr. Fauci and cohorts who were trying to put the kibosh on the lab leak theory. They lined up a whole bunch of experts to say, oh, not credible, don't go with what the rest said. That was like in the first year of the outbreak. And I was always suspicious of that. But it was really interesting why they were so quick to do that, even because he knew that his money had financed the research. He's a smart guy. How he knew when that came out, the conclusion was that you can take here and the function research money. And that other doctor, I think his name's Robert Danzak. Yeah. He got the grant from Fauci, his organization. And then Danzak directed the money to Wuhan. And what did Danzak do? I remember this right. He got dozens and dozens of doctors and scientists to sign a public petition, and they bought ad space in the major newspapers saying that it is absolutely wrong that this could have come from the lab. Now, why did he do that? Why did he step out? Now, nobody ever heard of him. He is suddenly organizing with all these other scientists to put this ad out. And look at that. He got a check from Fauci. And the money ended up going to Wuhan, enhancing this particular virus. All right, we got more coming up. John at 10 KFI, M640. We're live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. And we have Jason live at KFI Newsroom. Thanks, guys. The former President Carter says he's still got some time in that UC hospital. Fans are getting their first look at new rules for Major League Baseball by a third figure game this week. Your bases, their pitch clocks are in place for this season. Okay, still does not seem to be seen in New York. Road County, baseball with Jackie Robinson, public in Queens, but without the C in Jackie's first name. We're going to watch check on a semi-fire near Diamond Bar right after this. Hey, if you're looking to sell your phone, you call Sellers Advantage. We're going to make you a cash offer. There will be no need for repair with matter release. They buy it as is. The Sellers Advantage, there are no agents that can close these areas, and they buy it as cash. They'll even do this. They'll offer $10,000 advance to help with moving and other expenses. Check out the reviews online. Call for a no obligation offer. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-AS-IS. 888-321-2747. SellersAdvantage.com. Our number is 0196165. Southern California weather for KFI light and scattered rain between today. It's going to continue overnight. It's going to continue tomorrow, but it's going to start tapering. Highest today is mid-50s. Rain repeat for tomorrow. This report is brought to you by 3dmedia.com. From the Southern California Toyota dealer traffic center, let's go places. Let's head over to Diamond Bar. Check on that fire on the 60.
Eastbound, right before you get to 71, it's with 5 over on the right shoulder, and you do have a lot of slowing on that 60 eastbound. Coming away, I'd say almost all the way from about 40 Road. It's going to home pass. So right now, that 15 southbound, you are at a car going about 90 miles an hour. Sorry, back up to the road in the area from East Joshua Street. In Fremont, 5 miles of Central on the road, the 2 left lanes are flooded, and on the southbound side, the truck connector is closed from an earlier incident. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on it. If cold Canada calls aren't turning into hot hiring leads, then you need Indeed. Because Indeed's powerful hiring platform makes it easy to assess, screen, and interview candidates all from one place. Find your next great hire visiting Indeed.com/credit.
This report is sponsored by Big O Tires. Did you get your free tire at Big O Tires? That's right. Happy March 25th. Buy 3 select tires with the 4 tire free with paid installation. Wet weather and sloppy roads. So what are you waiting for? Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Now it's your neighborhood Big O Tires. For your nearest store, visit BigOTires.com. I'm Martin Coach, the inventor of Navaj Nasal Care, and I love Navaj. I told you about how your nose is the body's care. The Navaja's powered suction will help flush out allergies, viruses, mucus, and germs. And the Navaj will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navaj? Like parents, quote, my doctor wanted me to do alien rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a Medicom. Navaj uses suction power, so it's foolproof. They're nice when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver. Unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising the bottle. The all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. The box is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navaj, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life. The Conservation is also showing passwords. What did you say, Doc? The Conservation. So they have Spanish in 2 of their 3 words, and they decided to go with the old English version of the first word. Pennsylvania. Oh, Bobo. The King Conway Jr. Show. Now, what do you do? People again. So it's live 4 to 7 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. For the Curtain Tech Show, John Goldberg from 10 KFI and 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Oh, we got some good audio this by Escal or from old Joe Biden. He's doing another one of these network TV interviews with David Weir. You called him the underwear model, right? Underwear model, yeah. Right. So we did a little age together. You see him recently? Doesn't look so boyish anymore. Yeah, models get old. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, there's a bad inflation report that I came out a couple of days ago, and Biden's funding the media for the economy. You'll hear the clip will play. And at 2 o'clock now, we will begin talking about the people in the vicinity of Palestine, Ohio, who are coming down there with real illness. There was a Ukraine derailment a couple of weeks ago unleashed some toxic chemicals into the air and the water. And supposedly now, I just read over the weekend, the U.S. is sending a team there to investigate the claims of people ill health effects. So we'll get into that too in 2 o'clock hour. Some good news. We were just talking about COVID-19 and the origins of COVID-19. We have the latest update going on the flu shot. Did you get to see the flu shot? I did. You did? Yeah, I did. I took one in each arm. I took the latest. Oh, it's COVID vaccine in one I did. Yeah, I did that too. And then I read a month or two later you could get a stroke from that. Oh well. Everything comes out months or years later. Like 3 years later. Oh yeah, COVID came out of that lab. So you were right. The latest vaccine booster, which is the one, what is it called? Their name for it, right? Yes, they can help you with all the variants. Bivalent, yes. That they didn't really test it because they wanted to get it out there on the market, so they were just going to take real data from people who got the shot and then release the reports a couple of months later. And the first reports were good and encouraging. The survival in shot was really good. And a couple of months later, like, it's like some people have some strokes and some other problems. Particularly if you're older and you put both shots at the same time, the flu shot and the Bible stuff. Yeah, they only had mass research when they released it. Yeah, I don't know that I feel like a mouse. That makes me confident. No. No. And so this is the last shot I take without this doing. Well, the flu vaccine this winter, we're now almost in March. Get this, 45% effective. Let's give a standard ovation. That's a good number. Yeah, usually they're around 30% or less. Yeah, let's go. Particularly among children, the flu vaccine seems to work according to the latest research. And they believe that actually children were 16% less likely to be hospitalized and 48% less likely to visit an emergency department due to a flu or flu-related sickness. But overall, 44% less likely and 39% less likely to be hospitalized. So it looks like I remember the twindemic, or was it the tridemic? Because there could be 3 things going on. You had the RSV, infecting children, and the flu. And now the norovirus is making a sweep through the country. And why is it giving people the 24-hour stomach flu? Oh no, that's the buffet disease I call it. Yes, that's the hottest thing going. That's the one where you can get it by, with the hands on something. That's right. Then you get the runs and the vomits for a day. And that's why I call it the buffet disease, because everybody's got their hands on the spoons to pour all the food into their plates, and then you walk right up behind them and you grab the same spoon. First time I heard about it, and the norovirus is really popular on cruise ships because of the buffet. That's it. I've never touched another buffet again. Yeah, and also for cruise ships, people are just in close quarters everywhere they go. There's dance halls, there's clubs, and you're inside a lot of the time, and you go out of the deck, but you're inside a lot of the time. A friend of mine got that just the other day. Norovirus? Norovirus. Wow. All symptoms of norovirus. Oh no, he vomited and he pooped. Well, I didn't watch. No, but I mean, he gave me a report. Yeah, he gave me a report. Yeah, he has the defect medibox. And I told him, I sent him an autograph. I think it's good. Is he a buffet person? No. Like, you just pick it up and wherever you pick it up. It's faster, as they say. It's faster on cruise ships. Right. The 2022-23 flu season actually peaked in November and early December. Positive test hit 26%. Now we're down to just 2%. So the flu has really tailed off. And I'm not sure people even know if they have the flu or they had COVID. I mean, they get home tests, but honestly, anecdotally, more people I know had something this year. There seems to be a lot of germs going around than I can remember. Yeah, and I think that's because, and it was that nature of what I'm reading, people have really let it rip. I think the last holdouts about getting together in big groups or doing things that they weren't doing 2 years previous are doing it this year. You probably already saw Facebook will go off the charts for this summer, especially for Europe. very expensive. Everybody wants to go now. They kind of said, all the public nags should stand down because it makes everyone they're now, except for the mental patients. Nobody wants to hear not any more restrictions, any more masking, and nothing. Go away, because you keep doing it. The next big thing that happens, no one's going to believe you. That's right. That's right. Because you cried wolf for so long, and you didn't know honestly, you didn't know when to stop. That's the thing. Nobody would stop. Everybody was clinging to this state of emergency long after the emergency was over, years after it was over. Yeah. Does Father Ferrer still do those updates? Those briefings that Steve Gregory used to go to? I don't know. I still get the email. I saw there was one like 2 weeks ago that he was going to do like a live health update for Emma County. There's nothing worth covering it unless you're into our county health condition. I mean, I'm not really interested in the number of people getting sick in LA County. It just came out at 1:50 p.m. Public Health reports 2,129 new positive cases, 34 new deaths to the COVID-19 in LA County since Saturday. And it still needs to be reported. Whether it's say, the first person the first person today to read it. Yeah, somebody's starting to talk to this email, and so I don't do it for some reason. But I guess if your email circulates, the Johnny K email ends up on all these mailing lists that I don't even know who half these people are. But I guess they said, oh, they got off the email addresses somewhere. Yeah, they don't have their way of finding you. Yeah, that's an intern job. All right, when we come back, the people of East Palestine, Ohio, who were subject to that train derailment, are starting to report some real illness health effects. The government's taking a closer look. Oh, Joe Biden says, the economy, part of the blame here is the media. I haven't heard the clip, but I'm guessing he thinks the media is too negative about the economy. They're sending the wrong message to people for consumer confidence. That'd be my guess. So we'll see what's in that audio. It's all this. Johnny Kemp's KFI AM 640 live everywhere the iHeart Radio app. And it's the marketplace in Milton live at 24-hour KFI Asia. If you already know what you want us to say, that's like my doctor's school. KFI. Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere. I got mine, but it might be a little, during the crackdown. I got kids on little people on various charges. Officials say Devlin uncovered methamphetamine, cocaine, and several weapons. 17 law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, were involved. The rain and wind that hit LA County has left thousands of people without power. Most pressing gamble products. The majority of areas affected are Expedition Park, Del Rey, Fairfax, and Hancock Park. Brian Wilbur with the LAPWC says most of the outages were caused by the storm over the weekend. The storm started a work in the valley, Sun Valley, Bill Valley, South Criminal, Silver Hill. Wilbur says the department is working quickly and says response times remain between 24 and 48 hours. He suggests grabbing some blankets and said to expect power to be out for a while. Chris Adler, KFI News. California has been ranked as the worst state for roads rough, with 44% of its roads in poor condition. Money Group analyzed data from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Census Bureau, finding 1 in 10 roads in the U.S. are in poor condition. Now, the report published earlier this month says the drive between exit 138, 129 on the 15th is the state's deadliest stretch of road. It also says LA County had more deadly accidents from 2017 to 2019 than any other county. Hundreds of kids from Orange County have gotten some extra time in science camp because of this weather. They were supposed to, another 120 students had to stay put at the press line. The woman in LA who turned in Lady Gaga's stolen bulldog for a cash reward is suing the singer for not paying up. The woman was arrested and charged in connection with the robbery in 2021 when the dog walker was shot. The woman is among 5 people charged. Her lawyer claims she was defrauded because the reward was offered to whoever returned the dog. No questions asked. The lawyer says the woman has suffered pain and suffering, mental anguish, and loss of enjoyment of life because she did not get the money. Your KFI Financial Report is sponsored by Jacoby and Myers. Right now, Dow Jones Industrial average up 72 points, S&P 500 up 12, NASDAQ also up 72 points.
But wait, maximize your compensation. Call Jacobian Miners now. Justice for you since 1972.
The average price of a gallon of unleaded in LA County is $4.77. Southern California weather for KFI light and scattered rain today for LA and OC. The weather guys call that intermittent rain. Highs in the mid-50s, off and on light rain continues overnight, lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, a little more light, highs in the mid-50s. Mission Viejo right now, 52. Garden Grove, 56. China, 48. Chino, 48. Calabasas, 47. Now let's get a live traffic update. First that thing I just said, and that means a recap on Woodland Hills and 101.
This thing ain't leaving anytime soon. 101 southbound right at the Federal Avenue had a jackknife big rig, and the two right lanes are blocked as well as the DeSoto on-ramp. It is going to be south from Dallas Circle Boulevard. Looks like in Glendale, 134 westbound at the 2, got a crash over connected to the 2 north, and the Whiskey Pier, 210 westbound at Osborne. Brand new accident in the right lane there. In Stillmar, 5 northbound at San Fernando Road, the 2 left lanes are flooded, and on the southbound 5 truck connector to 14 north, that is close from an earlier accident. In C-60 on the right before you get to the 71, got that semi-fire, the right lane is still blocked, it's pretty heavy. From the 57, when you're coming down that Cahoe Pass, it is going to take you a while. 15 southbound, you're going to hit the brakes from Main Street in this area all the way down to Kenwood. KFI in the sky, help get you there faster. I'm Jimmy Harmon.
Hi, this is John. And Conway here. This Satellite Night Center offer has never been done before. This offer is for KFI friends and family. It's you. You can get this offer only if you're working with KFI now. Would you like $1,800 off later? Of course you would. Saddleback Night Center is offering KFI listeners a certificate for up to $1,800 off later with the friends and family certificate. I walked into Dr. Daniel's office. My eyesight was 21,000. I left there 7 in 2020. John came in my office one day and said, "Why you have 9 pair of glasses on your desk?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Call Dr. Major, my doctor." And I did, and I did beautifully. Anyway, call right now and get your friends and family certificate up to $1,800 off later. We can give away only 10 discount certificates to pay our listeners who schedule a free laser exam. We can get out 10 $1,800 basic friends and family discount certificates. You must call now, 866-559-4444, 866-559-4444, 866-559-4444. Big off. It can be dangerous so easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together. Before we start the annual meeting of Sharp Personal Info, has anyone seen Social Security number? Not me. Nope, not. Oh, no. BlackRock Minority makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, you're worth it. No one can monitor all transactions. You can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here. Termite problems? Search PacificCoastTermite.com or call 800-PACIFIC. More stimulating talk. Joe's just pulled up in CFO, CFI, AM 240 everywhere. On the iHeartRadio app, on the 1 to 4, after 4 o'clock, you can hear us on the app, Jonathan Podcast, Jonathan On Demand. Yes, that is a great way to catch up on the show. If you miss it live, you probably said that, though. We had a big train derailment. 50 cars. This happened in East Palestine, Ohio. This train was traveling from Madison, Illinois to Conway, Pennsylvania. There's been no people there. Okay. The rail operator was not the subject. There were no injuries. However, one of the train cars was releasing vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride is used to make the polyvinyl chloride hard plastic resin used in a bunch of plastic cups, pipe, wire, packaging material. So that's why this is shipped, probably from one place to another. Days later, this was one people to evacuate. The crew could release the toxic chemicals into the air from the 5 derailed tanker cars that was danger of explosion. So vinyl chloride was slowly released from the 5 rail cars into a trough that was then ignited, creating a large plume of smoke above the little town of East Palestine, Ohio. Evacuation order was lifted. Federal and state officials have repeatedly said it is safe to return to the homes not showing any concerning levels of contaminants. They also claim that the municipal drinking water is quite safe. But in case you're concerned, they've made bottled water available while testing is conducted for those with private wells. We bring you that story and then we bring you this update. 3 weeks after this derailment, people are beginning to report severe health conditions. Melissa Blake, who lives within a mile of the crash, that told NBC that, in picture this, he was coughing up gray mucus. Oh, you never want to use gray. Gray, yeah, mucus is kind of clear or green maybe, yellow, struggling to breathe, gray. He was diagnosed with acute bronchitis due to chemical fumes. Sounds like after a trip to an emergency room. Gray is like lung tissue guy. It says he's aging a breathing machine and putting on oxygen and breathing 3 types of steroids. He says she still cannot return home. What I wonder is whether the initial inhalation caused damage in your lungs and your bronchus. Okay? Rather than, let's assume that they're not lying about the testing for just a moment, but you still have all these problems, and could it be that this is like in a fire, right? The fire is out, but if you got burned, you're going to have scars for the rest of your life. Damage gets done, and it may not be reversible. And then it doesn't show up for a week or 2. 5 to 10 workers at a manufacturing company called Celery Fab, located next to the crash site, also became sick. After the derailment, people end up with rashes, nausea, vomiting, bloody noses, and eyes. There's coughing and wheezing. There's also an accumulation problem. I don't think the levels are 0. I think the government is saying they're not dangerous. But if every day you're inhaling a lower level, higher than normal, but a lower level than dangerous, then there could be an accumulation process, and then damage to your lungs and bronchus. I mean, clearly there's something poisonous that these people are ingesting. Yeah, and they're trying to say if it's related to the derailment or if it's some other factors, but it can't be a coincidence. No, it's close. No, it's something in between the current reading in the safe category and their lungs got poisoned. So what's going on here? Is it an accumulation, or is it that or maybe they're what they consider to be a safe amount of chemicals in the air is actually not safe for substances. Everybody has different tolerances. Everybody has different genetics, right? Or was the damage done the first day and then I know that the people who got severely diseased, their lungs got severely diseased, who were rescued 9/11 in New York City back in 2001. Some of that stuff took months and years to develop. You end up with like DNA changes in your genetics, so genetic material. Oh yeah, how many times did you walk into a building in California? They got those proposition signs up there, right? Yeah. Now imagine the whole building collapses and the building component put into dust and they end up in your lungs. That's the thing we're talking about. Infected, right? Exactly. And all the others. People who smoke. Everybody knows somebody in their family. My father-in-law is like, they smoked for 50 years, lived to 91. At the end, he had some empathy. Some people ended up with lung cancer in their 40s and 50s even after they quit smoking 10 years early. Again, it depends on your own personal makeup. Some people, the whole genetic mix is just your susceptibility to certain illnesses. Yes, you inhale tobacco and all chemical contaminants, you can get cancer in a short number of years, or not. That's right. Now, meanwhile, the EPA has told the train company in Norfolk Southern to stop shipping its toxic waste out of East Palestine, Ohio, and 2 other places until they can take a closer look. I think we told you last week. Some of it was going to go to Texas, yes, and actually some was going to go to Michigan. Officials in both states have complained that they weren't told contaminated water and soil was coming their way. Where do you put it when you bring it to Texas and go off the corner in Texas or Oklahoma, Nebraska, anywhere out in the Great Plains. Wyoming, or the Southwest Wyoming, Arizona, all those places. Well, just take it to Canada. Canada's a good place to go. Greenland. I'm tough to get to the ground there right now. Now, the guy, you're posting a story on a guy, and I don't know if there's any audio in there. Aaron, is there any audio of Wade Lovett? He's an auto detailer, and he's Palestinian, and his voice sounds as if he's been inhaling helium. He says, my voice sounds like... I saw that story over the weekend that they sound like Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Doctors say I have the chemicals in me, but there's no one in town that can run the toxicological test to find out which ones they are. My voice sounds like Mickey Mouse. Yeah. It's not really like Mickey Mouse, but it's pretty raspy. I think I'll play it along. Way up raspy, okay. I thought it sounded like something really like a chipmunk. Well, I wasn't in Palestine, outside with cars and water, and it just felt like the train blew up. That's crazy. You know what? You had to play me this real voice from a couple of months ago, and I really shocked, but that's pretty bad. Yeah, yeah. He said it sounds quicker. That's like he's really screaming there and very high. My chest hurts so much that I feel like I'm drowning. I cough up phlegm a lot. I lost my job because the doctor won't release me to go to work. Oh, no. It's just, okay, have you had an x-ray? Have you had any medical evaluation done? I mean, well, he says there's no one in town who can run a toxicological test. Well, get in your car and go find a town that has them. You know, that's the problem with people in small towns. They're like, I don't feel like doing that. You gotta go to drive all the way where? Go to the Cleveland Clinic. I think they can do it. That's one of the premier research healthcare centers in the world. 1.7 million gallons of contaminated liquid has been removed from the site of the jail. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and they burned 1 million gallons. They did, yeah. No, they burned 1 million. No, they burned 1 million pounds, which translates to almost 10 million gallons of liquid. That's what went into the atmosphere when they did the burn. And that doesn't account for stuff that burns during the fire. And plus, during the fire, all other kinds of chemicals were released, right? Not just the vinyl chloride, but whatever the train was made of, the train car. All right, we got more coming up. We will play for you fresh comments from the old Joe Biden, where apparently he's bringing at least the media for Americans' perception that the economy is still in a rough ride. Now, we'll also give you the newest inflation numbers that came out the other day, and they're the highest in the last year. I thought all the Fed measures to raise the interest rates were supposed to be having an effect on the inflation or the pressure, but certainly not so from this report. Johnny King, KFI, AM 640, we're live everywhere on the iHeart Radio. Internet Remarcation, Middleton Live, the 24-hour KFI Newsroom. The U.S. Energy Department concludes that the COVID pandemic stems from a lab in Wuhan, China. Beijing is not cooperating with the investigation. A new study suggests eating eggs may be good for the heart. The journal Nutrients says eating 1 to 3 eggs each week could reduce the likelihood of cardiovascular disease by 50%. Seattle is the nation's saddest large metro area. Riverside is second, and Phoenix is the third saddest city per the Census Bureau. We're going to get a live second update on the Tuesday right after this. All right, this is new. It's exclusive to Cutting Dental. It's called Infinity. The latest technology for use in Cutting Dental. Infinity. They're individually milled, custom zirconia crowns that are more durable, lighter, and stronger than their competitors. Infinity will give you the natural look and feel of real teeth. Call now in your free exam, a CT scan X-ray. It's a $1,500 value. $1,500 value. Yours free. Fantastic benefit. Bring in any written offer from a competitor, and Cutting Dental will beat that to you. Easy financing options are available. You call Cutting Dental now, 888-640-SMILE, 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 CuttingDental.com. So we got to bring the weather from day to light and scattered rain today, light rain overnight, light rain tomorrow, a little bit Midwest River, coming from upstairs under the sky. It's a high standard edition for tomorrow as well. From the Southern California Toyota dealers with traffic center, let's go places. Let's head over to Lacey Terrace this weekend.
Because you can't let down for it. Got that class clearing from the right lane and up ahead in Stillmont on north of San Fernando Road. The two-not lanes are flooded. You want to get away from the 170. Woodland Hills, 101 southbound, right at the ROTHSCHILD. Still got that jackknife out. You go to there, you still find where the Washington Boulevard, all car and carpool in the left lane. Going to be heading from the 105 to the Brea, 57 north of the Okaloosa Boulevard. You're going to have to try to fill some time over. Maybe that fire in the sky and help get you there faster, times and time.
This report is sponsored by Waterboy Whole House Filtration System. The Waterboy Whole House Filtration System brings fresh, clean water right to your tap. Call 1-800-WATERBOY now. Clean water for drinking, showering, cooking, laundry, and more. Call 1-800-WATERBOY. That's 1-800-WATERBOY.
Bring your bachelor's, master's, or nursing degree in the classroom or online at Vanguard University. Ranked as the top 10 university in the West by U.S. News and World Report for 12 consecutive years. At Vanguard, your story matters. Visit Vanguard.edu to learn more.
Why did an American fighter plane shoot down one of these objects over Canadian airspace? Because those missiles are certainly several $100,000 each, and it's smart barrel handle. Hey, you guys spend the money. Go knock your socks off live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. KFI and 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Coming up after the news at 6:30, we'll give you the latest report on the electric vehicles. California is mandating in a short 12 years that all new cars both in the city have to be electric or they have no emissions, zero emissions vehicles. There's some things we need to know. Now, these reports don't affect us so much here in the state of California, although this is a very cold winter for your business. Like this winter with us. This winter was affect you. Oh, okay. Yeah, you pause and I thought you were going to say something else. No. Yeah, probably. That's the case. Particularly right now throughout the big fair. Yeah, right. Places like that around. Anyway, we'll tell you what this is about. And also, there is some reports. The Lancet magazine wrote about electric vehicles and how they may be forward category of people that have average salary in this country. And there's a reason for that. Because you got to pay more, get more, all of it. So a report coming up after the news at 2:30. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge rose last month and its fastest pace in years. Now, because listening and following the inflation reports over the last several months, the attitude was, well, inflation's so high, but we're starting to get a handle on it. Consumer prices rose 0.6% compared to December to January. That's up from 0.2% from November to December. Well, this would be the latest in a long series of alleged predictions that were wrong. Because these government experts never saw this coming to begin with. Then when it came, they said, oh, it's going to be transitory. Transitory. And then it sounded like this whole supply chain, everybody getting used to that big jacket work, it's moving all products around the world. And then it's a year and a half, and they go, well, they drop it down, right? Yeah, drop it. But then it keeps showing up. So they're wrong, and they're wrong. And they're not heavy on the equipment anymore, are they? But it's still exception. No, there's been no new bill passed for $1 trillion. Who said there were several between Trump and Biden, both of them today. Right, one is March, several times over. Right, but I've heard that once these things start, it gets caught in the loop. Because it's the basic way is prices go up, wages have to go up, right? Well, if wages go up, the prices have to go up, which means the wages have to go up. And that's the big side. And it's hard to break it. And you really stop. And when you force companies to set high interest rates because they can't borrow another dollar, and they just start cutting back. So I know that raising interest rates is definitely having an effect on the housing market. Yes, that's a different type of spending than just people buying food and other things that spend on a daily basis. So maybe that's all it's doing. It's having an effect on the housing market in terms of people buying homes because the interest to borrowing rates is too high. But it's funny. You would think inflation would cause people to cut back some of their consumer spending, but apparently it went up and went up quite a big rate from the month before. So you just can't slow people down. Like they were talking about last hour, that I really believe this year people believe I'm back. I'm going to start doing all the things I did in 2019, and I'm going to start spending all the money and more that I haven't spent the last 3 years. Credit card debt. It is. Yeah. I had some good the other day that people in their 30s are heavily in debt. Yeah. I don't know why that particular decade, I guess that's when people start to really make their decisions about spending their homes, cars. The people in their 30s, they came out of the workforce at a bad time. 2008 crash, the mortgage meltdown. The mortgage meltdown, right? And so that caused a huge recession, and a lot of people lost their jobs or couldn't get hired, and they were coming out with a lot of college debt, right? And then they finally get rolling, and now they're dealing with, you know, 8-9% inflation. And they never dug out from the debt. They never dug out from their depressed salaries the first 2 years of their working life. And the fact they say people who came into the job market around 2008 are going to make like X% less in their life than people who came out in other years. It just set them on a slower track to their money. Now, well, on the economy, we have some new audio from old Joe Biden, who sat down with ABC News anchor David Jeter to talk about a bunch of topics, and they released this one concerning Biden and the economic. I want to ask about the economy. You talk often about how the rate of inflation has begun to slow. Unemployment now at its lowest level in 50 years. But you've also seen the polls. Our latest ABC News poll shows 4 in 10 Americans say they're worse off than when you were elected. Only 16% said they were better off. So why is that? Why aren't Americans feeling that? Well, look, I think it goes well beyond the economy. Think about it. You mentioned it. I mean, you live in the you think about even turn on the television, like, God, that makes me feel good. Well, everything is negative. We're also finding out now that one of the outlets has decided that they can put things on that he knows before in order to increase their ratings. So I think this will level out. And I don't find people being down. You know, when you have a year, almost 2 years of the pandemic, kids out of school, the mental health problems in the country are seriously increased, especially among young people. Some things are enough if they're going down about employment and get better jobs and making more money. Inflation is still higher than it should be, and everything from gasoline prices to a war going on in Ukraine. I mean, so I think this is a time when you can trade an uncertainty. Notwithstanding the fact that there's an 800,000 manufacturing jobs. We're better off than virtually any other major nation in the world economically. But it's understanding why people get down. I love this when politicians, Trump, everyone does this. I created jobs. And I just actually jobs. We just created the get out of here. We created jobs come and go because of the private economy and the way it flows. Get out of here. We created jobs. But beyond that, it's typical that, when there's economic news, which is unsettling, now we're going to blame the media. Oh, right. Focus on the negative. Right. The media is biased against Biden's economy. Wasn't that famously something that Nixon gathering the mobs of negativity. Oh, that was Spiro Agnew. It was Spiro Agnew, right? Yeah. I always remember that line. The Bob with the negativity. Natalie, ever meet on the Bob? Yeah, no, they all do. When I really met the president, Clinton hated the media. Obama thought the media was unfair to him. You know, obviously, Trump did. They all complain about the media. And there's a lot to complain about. However, the rate of inflation exceeds the rate of people's salary increases. You know, if the inflation rate is going up 7%, but your salary's only going up 5%, well, then you're losing. And if you're living week to week, that makes a difference. That's something you notice. And you start going out less. Maybe you don't go to a movie. You don't go out to dinner on Friday night. But if that was true, how come inflation's still going up? In case people aren't still spending somehow. They're just going to get debt, as you said? Yeah, they're going, from what I've read, credit card debt is going back upwards. Yeah. People don't, I think they're looking, I think Americans, they felt like, oh my God, I suffered so much during the pandemic. The lockdown, and now they're just going on. American culture is unique. You travel to other countries. If you don't have to explain you to buy things, right? If there's something that, and I'm realizing it now, you know, to what extent, you know, our family got caught up in buying things or having things, doing certain things, you know, because the people around you, or people in the neighborhood, or just a place you wanted to be in life. It's a very powerful force. As resistant, you know, as you want to be, as you try to be, you do get swept up in it, you know, right? And I do think for people in the middle class, because so much about the wealthy is now broadcast 24/7, and so much on social media. There's so much of what the wealthy have that it makes a lot of people a little crazy. And I think conscious. It's not like they're sitting home outwardly moaning about it, but yeah, my friend had a good time. I want some of that. And you just throw another $1,000 on the credit card. And after a while, what does it matter? Wasn't that long ago that I was reading people were saving more than they had, but that's during the pandemic. That's during the pandemic, yeah. They could still buy things online, but they weren't going out, so they could spend money. Yeah, they couldn't. All right, we got more coming up now. Important to hear what's coming next. The Atlantic magazine did a story called The Inconvenient Truth about electric vehicles. We also have a story out of Norway concerning electric vehicles in cold weather, which most of the time isn't a big story here in California, but certainly when you talk about sales around the country, it would have an impact. Johnny 10 KFI AM 640 live everywhere the iHeartRadio app. Jason Middleton, Incident Mark live the 24-hour KFI newsroom. A winter weather advisory has been issued for LA, Ventura, and Santa Barbara County Mountains through tomorrow afternoon. A series of winter storms is set to bring rain and mountain snow along with winds to LA this week. The National Weather Service says a low pressure system that covers the entire west coast will pick up today and stretch across metropolitan LA through Wednesday. News brought to you by OPO Law. Officials in Central California say more than 24 people have been arrested during a gang crackdown. The Lawrence County Sheriff's Office said Saturday a group of 97 homes led to the arrest of 26 people on various charges. Officials say deputies uncovered methamphetamine, cocaine, and several weapons during the siege. At least 17 law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, were involved in the investigation. SoCal Gas is planning to increase rates in 2024. The company says it filed an application to raise prices last year before this recent spike in natural gas costs. It says that SoCal Gas seeks to increase revenues at 20% next year. If approved, customers will see the new prices January 1st, 2024. SoCal Gas says an average resident will see an increase of about $8.28 a month. We will check traffic in Gardena on the 110 right after this. Best-selling author David Horowitz says the 2024 election could his last. What? They've got a new bestseller. It's called Final Battle. David Horowitz reveals he says an effort led by far-left Democrats, big media, and a new world generation looking to forever change U.S. culture within our schools, our churches, and yes, even our military. In his book, Horowitz explains how attacks on the Electoral College, Supreme Court, the integrity of the electoral system, and other undermines the possibility of bipartisan solutions to common problems. Harlot sees Americans speaking in different and antagonistic political languages, with the two parties so polarized, he says, the American way of life itself is at risk. Harlot sees the players working behind the scenes to undermine enduring national institutions. Here's that, called Final Battle of the Book of the Year. The next accusation says it's the biggest expose on Joe Biden and the Democratic left showing patience to this country. You can find Final Battle in bookstores and you check out the free offer here and save $28. Call 1-800-NEWSFACTS. That's 1-800-NEWSFACTS. Or go online to finalbattle611.com, finalbattle611.com, and get your free copy today. So the California weather for KFI. Light rain today, off and on for LA and OC. Highs in the mid-50s. The blanket of clouds and light rain continues overnight with lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, a little less scattered light rain, but it's there. Highs in the mid-50s. Tuesday, basically, is a second day. Now, let's head over for a traffic update and check a fresh wreck on the 110 in Gardena.
It's on that one southbound right before it gets to El Segundo Boulevard. It's blocking the two right lanes, but right now we have all lanes stopped as they try to get these out of your way. Also, it looks like when people were there in 605 Northbound before Washington Street, got really the stall cleared over the right shoulder. You're still going to be on off the bridge from the 105 all the way up to the 10. Woodland Hills, 101 southbound of Soto Avenue, got that stop for the Jackson Bridge. You're blocking two right lanes and the Soto on-ramp. And Eagle Rock, 134 west of the 2, got a wreck in the right lane. And then on the flip side, 134 east, right at Harvey Drive, got a wreck clear to the shoulder. Can you find the side? I'll get you down faster. I'm Jim Harmon. Time numbers. Check these speakers including the Texas market. Sustainable wild-caught Chilean feedback fillet are 20% off, 2/7/28. So catch the line for better dinner. While supplies last. Shop in store or online. Turn to flash.
Here. What's going on here for you? Follow us now. And support. John Sobel, KFI, AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yes, and we're forever on that app with the John and Ken podcast, right? You can download it there at the iHeartRadio app or KFI AM640.com. Not long after we finish the show, Monday through Friday after 4, you can get the hours posted up. Catch up that way. We're going to spend a few minutes now on electric vehicles. First, it'll be a short 12 years before we have a California mandate that if you want to buy a new car, it's going to have to be zero emission. That is going to be the rule in the state of California. More and more media outlets are writing about some of the definite drawbacks. One story is the inconvenient truth about electric vehicles. Sort of like when you buy a car a number of years ago, there might be a sticker on the side to tell you just how many miles per gallon you could expect city driving versus highway mileage versus local driving versus highway mileage. Yeah. Right. This story is basically about the limitations of the range in electric vehicles. It talks about how if you want that higher end range, you're going to have to pay for it. A new Ford F-150 Lightning, which is an electric version of their best-selling vehicle. People love the Ford F-150. Very big down in the middle of the country. I don't know if you know anything that has one, but I know it for a fact. It's based in the number one car. Yep, the F-150. It's a nice pickup truck. Anyway, it starts at $55,000 in 464, which is fairly expensive. However, if you want the extended range battery, which moves you from 230 miles on a charge to 320, the cost rises to at least $80,000. The author of this article says that holds true with other brands like Tesla, Rivian, and Lincoln. Now, if you really want to beat the battery option, you're going to have to pay a lot more to get it. And then there's a problem with the range itself. They don't want you to charge the car to its full range. You're not supposed to do that. No, that's not good. They discourage drivers from regularly exceeding 90%. And if you're not a Tesla, they don't want you to Tesla as well. And by the way, you can go back to the F-150 a second. If you get the $80,000 F-150, that gets you 320 miles. That's like having a 20-gallon gas tank if it's 16 miles to the gallon. Well, yeah, that would be 320, right. But that's not much of a range. And that's not much of a deal. No, no. And actually, right, no one spends an extra $5,000 in space because it depends on the conditions you're driving. But the true for gas mileage. But I think the holds is even more so for electric vehicles in terms of using the air conditioning, or, as we're talking about here, there's a story out of Norway, and there's a story out of Michigan too, that in cold weather, these batteries use a lot of stars in order to operate because of the conditions. I think you may see much less. I think one guy wrote that he only got 50% of the range that he charged it up to because he had to drive in snowy, cold. And they said, yeah, this is a total deal. Here's your mileage. Right. This guy wrote the story, and he took a trip from Death Valley National Park. He's going to drive 150 miles across the desert in a Model 3 Tesla, standard range. And the good thing about Tesla, they do tell you on the map where your next supercharger is. Right. So it was 150 miles from one supercharger to the next. But as his car went up and down the hill, its estimate for how much battery charge would be left started to slip. He had a comfortable cushion, and then he said it was troublingly low. He lost the cruise control at the speed limit or just below, so he wouldn't cost himself any miles with a wet foot. And then two sets of headlights closed in behind me. We're five. They were Teslas. But you could tell they paid $5,000 to $10,000 more for a longer range version of the car. Dual motor. It's called a dual motor, right? Yeah. Something that they made. Right. Right. So if you get the ordinary Tesla, you're on a strict diet. You have to pay the extra 10 grand to have more ease. You can't drive as fast as you want. Right. And then the cold weather story. Oh yeah, that's the one from there's two. There's one from Norway. The Golden Nail. In northern Norway, it's very cold here. George really electric vehicles is pretty protected. There's also a pretty good story from the state of Michigan with the same thing. Some guy who writes about cars in Detroit said the same thing, finding that operating electric vehicles in these colder conditions really severely restricts the range. So it's not practical for a lot of people. I mean, much of the country has some bitterly cold periods. The one thing that a car buys you if you keep it gassed up is tremendous freedom to go back to day, to go back to your life, to go on a trip, do what you want. And amidst all this excessive hype about the wonder of electric cars, what they don't talk about, but is clearly true, it is going to restrict your freedom. And like everything else progresses to, little by little the truth comes out. It's a drip, drip, drip situation. For example, this really is that they only want you to charge after 9 o'clock at night after you come home from work. 4 to 9 o'clock, no charge. Well, that may not be convenient. What are you supposed to do? You don't have to worry about that. There's gasoline stations open up 24 hours a day. Right. But now there's going to be restrictions. And eventually, they're going to monitor how much electricity you're using each time. And if they detect that you're using too much, they will eventually, it'll all be done remotely on the internet. That is what they're heading for. They'll restrict the electricity flow to your house. And they make things sound crazy and hard, but trust me, don't give it insomnia. Because every year, little by little, today in the Wall Street Journal, they were citing an interview with one of the operators of the big electricity grid, who says that our projections show that as we continue to move away from fossil fuels and towards all electric with regard to everything, they heard the thing about stoves, they don't want natural gas anymore, and of course they don't want to use the gas in town cars, they don't disagree. trying to do this. Because what we're stuck in a situation now where every day another report comes out about the rapid increase in climate change effects. These characters go nuts trying to push everything faster, which is cutting back on fossil fuels and moving towards electricity. And there's not going to be the grid for this. That's what and if a grid operator says, and they know this. And eventually they're going to come to a point where they make natural gas, gasoline, electricity so expensive that we're just going to have to live in a reduced state. That is the plan. So you'll live in a reduced state because they think that. That puts away your freedom and puts you under their control. Right? Because they've created a system now where all fuel is too expensive. And they justify it by saying we're serving deployment. That's the other story. The real story is they want control. This global warming thing was just beautiful for them to use, to make people feel guilty. They make you feel guilty about the freedom you have in your life and about what you spend your money on and the convenience that you have and what you enjoy. Yeah? All right, we got more coming up. John and Ken, KFI, AM 641 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And Jeff Mark Stock, we got Jason Milton live at 24-hour KFI Newsroom. Wall Street is closing higher to start the week. Stocks bounced around today into the arrow territory after last week's downer move out the street. A National Business Economic Survey shows 60% of economists think a recession happening this year is basically a coin flip. Police in Canada are reminding citizens not to call 911 just because they're angry. Royal Mountain Police tweeted Friday that they had a call from a woman angry about the long drive she had to Burger King. We'll get a live check on the 405 in Inglewood right after this. Well, there's obviously been the northern half of rain, and this leads to accidents. Yeah, you know what? We haven't had this much rain in a while, so here's my warning to you. There's going to be a lot of young drivers out there who absolutely have no idea what to do in the rain. They're going to drive too fast, trying to do what they usually do, and you can easily end up in a nasty accident. So no matter how careful you are, accident happens, you get hurt, you call our guy. Our guy, the accident attorney that we recommend, would change 800 500 5200. Great, oh God, oh good, they're going to go to you. Don't take this on alone. If we change accident attorney to help you get the medical care you need, get the vehicle fixed, and of course, to maximize the compensation. So if you're hurt, call the attorney that we're recommending here, Weekends Accident Attorney. Number is 800 500 5200, 800 500 5200. Or go to weekends.com. Southern California weather from KFI. Light and scattered rain today. Light rain overnight. Light rain tomorrow as well, but a little bit less of it. Partly cloudy. Highs today in the mid-50s. Winds 15 for tomorrow. This report brought to you by Wendy's. Try Wendy's home-style French toast sticks today. From the Southern California employee to do this happy second. It's so flaky. That means let's roll into Inglewood on the 405.
The brand new crash on the 405 North Center Manchester. This crash has a pole that was knocked down. It is blocking the two-right lane. It's stopped, though, as you're coming away, I'd say from the 105. Also in Gardena, Lincoln southbound lane of the Dunbar Beach Boulevard has clear out into the left lane of the express lane. All lanes are stopped as we try to clear this. Now, in the backup, Lincoln southbound, right before El Segundo Boulevard, all lanes are stopped to clear a crash on the two right lanes. And in Woodland Hills, 108 southbound at DeSoto Avenue, we still have trouble with Jackson Big Ridge. The two right lanes are blocked as well as the DeSoto on-ramp. Find the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on in. Really, hometown French toast are so good. Some are saying they're better than your mom's French toast. Perfectly crispy on the outside, perfectly fluffy on the inside, perfectly perfect in every way. Try Wendy's hometown French toast today. You think they're better than your mom.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. Portions of the following program will be recorded. What if a mouse could change the world? What if elephants could fly? What if the whole world could celebrate together? KFI wants to send you to the celebration of 100 years of fishing at the Disneyland Resort. Enter for your chance to win one day Join the celebration. Offering tickets to matching restrictions and change up. Visit KFI on Instagram and enter to win a chance to celebrate 100 years of peace. Good luck from KFI AM 64.
More stimulating talk.
Johnny K Show, John Covell, Kenny J. Pro, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yeah, I want to pass along a good secret to everybody. The Mondays is a great day to listen to the show. There's no commercial. It's clear to me now the last few weeks, Monday, there's like 2 minute breaks. It's fine. You get more about price. That's very well. There's still people who complain. It's just 2 minute commercial. Let me take it though. Coming up after 3 o'clock. You know, can't say we don't keep follow up. The story takes us back a couple of years. Our guest will be Wendy Ludwig. Many of our listeners did participate in a fundraiser for her little son, Jack. He was attacked. He was just coming home from swimming in a neighbor's house, and a 32-year-old man beat him, picked up a large rock, grabbed Gavin and slammed him into the right side of his head. He slammed the rock into Gavin's head. And unprovoked, this was the thing. Obviously, when you'll see, a mentally deranged person who came out of nowhere and attacked Gavin. They had no connection to each other. It was random. So, update for a little boy. He had severe injury. The good news is he's much better. This happened, I think, 2020, wasn't it, John? I think it was, during the pandemic. Anyway, coming up after 3 o'clock, Wendy's coming back on the show. Now we'll give us an update on Gavin's health. And many of you, as I mentioned, were part of the GoFundMe, which raised a lot of money for young Gavin. But give us an update on the attacker, who apparently has done this before and flies through the justice system by being sent to a mental hospital. And then, of course, the proven people there declare him, hell, he's fine, he's good, put him back out in the world, and he attacked Gavin. He has attacked people before. So the family was hoping for prison time, and long prison time for somebody who does this to what was then a 7-year-old boy. So we'll get the updates from Wendy, Gavin's mother, coming up after the news. It's 3 o'clock. Well, I have to ask this question, John, because you kind of follow this, even though you find it comical. Is there anybody left working at Twitter? Twitter has 7,500 employees when Elon Musk took over in October. 7,500. There are now less than 2,000 people working there. And Twitter's still running. That's what I was going to ask you. Have there been any major outages or problems or vendors complaining? Not that I'm aware of, no. I find it really fascinating. I have not seen a single story where someone says, I can't post on Twitter. It seems to be down, 8 hours a day. I haven't seen it. I don't know. You know what I think? I think they actually had a lot of employees who were there censoring all the posts that they found politically disagreeable. I think that was a large. I'm just like, what were all these people doing? You could cut back, what was it, 2/3 of them years? Well, I've read a fair number of the Twitter files that were dumped by those journalists. Elon Musk had all the internal memos released, and a group of journalists, including Michael Schellenberg, I used to that for 3 years, and it looked like this was a huge operation. This may have been the single largest operation within Twitter, other than keeping the general service running. Because it took a lot of work to go through all of these and then decide, does it stay, does it go, does it get a warning sticker on it? And there's a lot of political issues that became taboo. And what about the terrorists? Although they were using other platforms where terrorists are allowed full reign on all sorts of the sites and all kinds. These special terrorist existence. That's a recruitment. Well, it says here in the New York Times, the latest round of cuts hits product managers, data scientists, and engineers to work on machine learning and site reliability, which supposedly keeps Twitter's various features online. So but you're telling me that I haven't heard of any big outages or problems. I mean, unless they drop it off like those two because they're angry that Elon Musk took over, or people. No, they've had problems with advertising because some of the progressive advertising executives think, yeah, they're claiming, well, there's a lot of objectionable material. We just don't want to add alongside these posts. Right. So there's been a lot of that. You've got less revenue, which is all the more reason you've got to cut costs. But the day-to-day operation, the mechanical operation of posting and people getting your posts, I have not read anything that it's been compromised. And I know the media would jump all over it because they all want him to fail now. He replaced Trump as public enemy number one. And this wasn't just about getting rid of the woke people. He also wants to put a profit into it. And he probably looked around and said, do we really need 7,500 people working here? I saw two things in this. I saw that Facebook, the median salary of Facebook is $400,000. Median. What? Yes, $398,000 to be exact. To what? What did all these thousands do with Twitter? What did they all do? They all have like big titles, product managers, data scientists. I'm a data scientist. Then the third thing I just read was a guy. There's some kind of social media app called Blind, and it's where workers could speak about their company's bosses without being identified. And this guy claims that he's a tier one middle manager. Tier one being the lowest ranking. And at Facebook, another round of layoffs are coming. And he fears that his tier is going to be stopped. So that he is going to lose his $550,000 salary. Again, he's the lowest level ranking. God knows how many tier one middle managers there are. And he's pissed about it because he's 40 years old, about 40, and maybe about 42. And in about 3 years, in 2026, he figured he'd be promoted to tier two and make $1 million a year. And once he got there, he'd be able to shortly retire. He uses an acronym called FIRE, which I wasn't familiar with. I had to look it up. And financially independent, retire early. FIRE, F-I-R-E. Because I'm a few years away of hitting FIRE in my 40s. Once I get to that $1 million a year magic salary, I don't know how many years he wants to work at, but nothing. But that was out of his mind because he's not going to find another mid-level job for $550,000 a year. And he posted it, and of course he started throwing stuff at him. Yeah, really just jealous. Yeah, it's remarkable salary, how much money they were making. They were making so much money, and they were very competitive. Twitter and Facebook, Google, all these tech companies, social media companies. They had so much money. They were so competitive to get whatever they thought was the best. And they also hired like mad during the pandemic because so many people were at home using their products in ever greater numbers. You can throw Amazon in that case as well too. Except the pandemic ended in a bubble popped, and then there's been enough scandals and people just get it. A lot of people get it. I can tell just looking at my feed because I wanted to stop. So it's just I don't think Elon Musk needs really all those things. Well, one of them became somewhat famous. Her name is Esther Crawford. He was seen wrapped up in a sleeping bag, sleeping at her Twitter offices, wearing like a little ice cover thing. And she tweeted out when you see her pushing around the clock to make deadlines, sometimes hashtag people you work. That got San Francisco officials worked up because they're like, that's not a sleeping space. What's an office space? People can't sleep there. Turns out we were investigating on Musk's Twitter. That happened a few months ago. Yeah. She got laid off. So she was like trying to back up the Musk, saying, look at me, I'm so devoted, on the floor, going to get back and work quickly. She was part of the old guard, and fired a lot of the old guard. And she wanted to show, no, I'm with you now. I'm all for you. And so she's sleeping on the floor, and she's taking a photograph of herself on the floor and then posting it. I mean, it looks like an idiot. Can you imagine taking a photo of yourself here at the radio station in a sleeping bag with an eye shade on, and then putting it online so everybody can see that you're here working 24/7 for the good of the station? You feel like a moron because you would be a moron. When we return, we're going to welcome back to the show in Cinnabar, the Wendy Rucker. Her little son Gavin was attacked viciously by a violent, evil, crazed man that happened in the Inland Empire a couple of years back. He was just on his way home from a neighbor's house, and he was bludgeoned with a rock, then left for dead in the street until unfortunately a neighbor saw him and had his teeth in. Gavin has recovered nicely, but we have an update on the attacker. Talk about Johnny 10 KFI AM 640 live everywhere at the iHeartRadio app. And Jason Middleton in Connecticut Mark live in 24-hour KFN Eastern. If it doesn't affect you, we're not interested.
KFI.
KOST 322.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Fast and as can. Jason Middleton live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. 28,000 people are still experiencing power outages from the winter storm that hit LA County. The LA DWP's Brian Wilbur says the department is working as fast as possible, but must prioritize service calls. We will drop the high houses first, so when that sees the trees come down and we have wires down, poles broken, poles further down. Wilbur says this weekend storm caused the most outages at Hancock Park, Fairfax, and Delray, but parts of the valley also need a lot of work. He says customers can expect the power to be out for a significant amount of time. President Biden has appointed the former mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, director of the White House Office of Engagement. The White House says Steve Benjamin will oversee efforts to ensure community leaders, diverse perspectives, and new voices have the opportunity to inform the work of the president in an inclusive and transparent way. Biden says Benjamin is a longtime public servant whose deep relationships across the country will serve the administration well. Bond. Scenes running James Bond books have been rewritten for 21st century sensitivity, removing a number of racial references ahead of the 70th anniversary this week. The Sunday Telegraph said Saturday the books are expected to be republished in April. The book will include a disclaimer saying this book was written at a time when terms and attitudes which might be considered offensive by modern readers were commonplace. A number of updates have been made in this edition while keeping as close as possible to the original text and the period in which it was set. Your KFI financial report is sponsored by Sylvia Myers. The Wall Street finished in up arrow territory. The Dow closed 72 points up. The S&P 500 at 12. NASDAQ up also 72 points. Average price of a gallon of unleaded gasoline today in LA County, $4.77.
Don't wait. Maximize your compensation. Talk to Kobe and Myers now. Justice for you since 1972.
Southern California weather from KFI. Light and scattered rain continues today for LA and OC. Highs in the mid-50s. The off and on rain continues overnight lows in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, more light rain, a little less of it though. Highs also in the mid-50s. Right now, Laguna Beach is at 53. Yorba Linda is at 52. Rancho Palos Verdes at 50, and so is Whittier. Now let's get a live traffic update, and that means a reset on Woodland Hills and the 101. It's on the eastbound side of the 101, right at DeSoto Avenue. It's an accident, and they're taking out the two right-hand lanes. You're still on the east 101, first from Parkway, Calabasas to DeSoto Avenue, and up ahead, Northway is on the east 101 between Woodland Avenue and the North Hollywood Freeway split. Also slow going on the west 101 from the Northwest split to Van Nuys Boulevard. Michael Bryan checking your ride through Pomona and KFI in the sky. In Pomona, we've got the 10 westbound at Dudley. That's the problem involving a big rig, and it's still in the middle lane there. Very tough on its Claremont there, starting about Indian Hill. That's that eastbound looking and using from the 57. Now, through the whole path, it's been a real challenge these days with the weather. This through the southbound, you pretty much down to the 395, down to the 138, and the 15 northbound from Clayton Ohio Road up to the 138 as well. Now, we also have a lot of heavy traffic up at 605. 605 southbound, that is going out from the 10 down through the 5. 605 northbound, pretty tight up there from the 105 to 10. Michael Bryan, KFI in the sky. Good news out of South LA, South 110 at close to the Boulevard attacks is cleared out of land. Way up high in the sky is I'll stick to their pasture. I might want it. David Horowitz thinks the 2024 election could be America's last. That's his starting conclusion in his new best-selling book. Yeah, his new bestseller is called Final Battle. David Horowitz, he reviews and every says is led by far left Democrats, big media, and a new woke generation looking to forever change U.S. culture within our schools, our churches, within our military. Horowitz explains how attacks on our electoral college, the Supreme Court, the integrity of the electoral system, and other customs undermines the possibility of bipartisan solutions to common problems. Horowitz sees Americans speaking in different and antagonistic political languages, with the two parties so polarized that he thinks the American way of life itself is at risk. Horowitz thinks the players working behind the scenes to undermine our enduring institutions. Find Final Battle in bookstores and check out the free offer and save $28. Just call 1-800-NEWSMAX, that's 1-800-NEWSMAX, or go online to finalbattle611.com. Finalbattle611.com to get your free copy today. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together. Before we start the annual meeting of Sean Personal Info, has anyone seen Social Security numbers? Not me. Nope. Oh no. He's been stolen. BlackRock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, rewards are hit. No one can monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first deal with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here. Americans pay about $5 billion a year to control termites and repair the damage. More than floods, earthquakes, hurricanes combined. Call Pacific Coast Termites at 800 Pacific for a free home inspection. Certain restrictions apply. No camping ever. Call 800 Pacific. 800 Pacific. Visit PacificCoastTermites.com. Call 800 Pacific. Pacific Coast Termites. The free, friendly way. Cold, more stimulating talk. And I can hear it. Before the John Show, John Codell, the King Boat, it's 40 line everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome, everybody. We got a special report later on this hour about California's prisons and the plans to close even more of them. It's one of the reasons you're seeing more crime. There are just more people out there to do it. And they were hell-bent on doing this in Sacramento, led by Governor Deputy Gavin Newsom. So we'll get into full details coming up. And speaking of the prisons, there was kind of some good news. There's one evil prisoner killed another that they shared a cell. We'll also talk about that story. That's heartwarming. And yeah, they're both evil. You can take your pick when you hear their background. Everyone's more evil, the one that died or the one that killed. But we'll talk about it. And can you tell us why? It was July of 2020 when a little boy by the name of Gavin Woodley was attacked on his way home from a neighbor's pool party. This is out in Desert Hot Springs. They're calling it the neighborhood called Vista Del Valley. He was attacked by a 32-year-old evil. Wow, look at the guy. Must up to Daniel Burst Olson, 32 years old. There was no confrontation. There was nothing. Just a completely random attack, repulsion attack little Gavin, and he hit him with a rock. He fractured his skull. We covered the story back in 2020, and we talked to Gavin's mother, Wendy, who's going to come on in just a moment with an update on the story. But it was horrendous. A long road to recovery. We had to be airlifted to Loma Linda Medical Center. So they eventually found the suspect hiding in the neighborhood, arrested for attempted murder. This is a person that should never see the light of day ever again in society. However, what we found out in following the story for months later is that this man had a history, and of course it involved psychiatric issues. So he often seems to end up being placed in a state mental hospital, which, as you know, doesn't last. Yes, right? This is a series people quote. Yes, they don't lock him up for good. They think they can fix him. You can't fix a violent psychotic man a rock on a little boy's head. There's no fixing that info. I want to read this quote. I tried walking right over to help him. I said, hey, Gavin, I went to turn him over. I noticed there was damage on the right side of his head. I called his vein out. He started to cry. I was in shock by that point because I couldn't believe what was happening. So I picked picked him up, ran to his house, knocked on the door. The family was shocked and prepared. He got the medical help. So we'll get an update on Gavin and an update on the evil attacking man now by talking to Wendy. Wendy, you there?
I am. I have to thank you for not forgetting about Gavin.
Oh, we told you we were never going to forget it. No, we got the update on the weekend from GoFundMe. We'll find out the latest. But let's talk about your son first and how are things today for him.
He's doing well. Health-wise, he's back to his rambunctious himself. He did have to change school to go to a moderate to severely handicapped school, which is really hard on me because he's been at my school with me since kindergarten, and now he has to go to a different school.
You're a teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what are the challenges you still have?
He still has weakness on his left side. His head is been on the right side, and his academic dropped severely after the attack. So he's I would say at about his kindergarten level, and he's in the 4th grade.
Is he 9 years old now?
Yeah, he's 9. He'll be 10 in April.
How is his psyche? How's he feeling about everything now?
He's happy-go-lucky. He doesn't remember the attack because it happened. Because the guy, he came up from behind and hit him. So Gavin didn't even know.
So he doesn't have that layer of trauma that feels
No, he has no memory of the attack at all.
So it's going to take a long time to catch up.
Yeah.
What is the status now of this monster? This attacker, and you told us and warned us that apparently in his past he's often been put in psych institutions.
He was in a psychiatric institution for 2 years, and they said for previous attempts, and they said that they could not get him ready for trial, so they let him go. Because I guess California has a 2-year law, and a little over a year later when he attacked Gavin.
Did we know when he was accused of back with the first case he was mentioned? Do you know what that was?
A sexual assault on a minor.
Right. What do you mean California is a 2-year law? What, if he's been locked up in a mental institution?
Right. They only can keep them in a mental institution without their consent for 2 years. And they said the last time they said they couldn't get him ready for trial, so they gave him medication in Orlando. And
somebody has is that going to happen again? It's a psychotic problem. They do keep some people when they're on terrorists.
well, I certainly hope so, because I just found out that they're not going to trial.
Yeah.
Not now. The judge said he was insane at the time he attacked my son. So they're going to put him back in a mental institution.
But what's the possibility of attack? Is the possibility there that they'll be out in Europe?
I hope not. That's what I told the VA, the person's advocate, and he said that they're going to do everything they can.
Well, I don't understand how it is. He's sitting there for several years already.
Right? And it didn't help.
And what did not help, right? When he gets your son clearly, it didn't help. He has an organic disorder that's brain.
Yeah.
It's some skeleton from a virus thing against vulnerable children. But
You know, there's nothing that can be done to, for that to happen to him. He was just walking home.
you know what they looked when they were originally on the medication? What was the medication for what?
I don't know. I just for the mental problems that he has.
Yeah. Did you have like a business advocate that you could inform?
Yeah, he would be about it. So he talks to me like maybe once every 6 months. I call her more than she calls me, but I guess every day
timeline now. How long is he going to do in this personal institution?
I don't know. I'm supposed to meet with the district attorney next month, and hopefully I'll find out more.
Oh,
Well, I was told when she first got here, everything was confidential, but then it went through the court, and the judge said that, so I figured after the judge said it was public knowledge. That's why I'm talking now.
yeah, I mean, if he gets released, he was in your neighborhood because he was living with family or something, wasn't he? Or,
Right, he was living with his aunt and cousins, and his mother was living in the garage apartment.
so he could end up or back in the same neighborhood. He's a family psycho. And, they kept him, they kept him locked up in the garage. They put it up in the corner.
Yeah, they said that they're not going to let him come back, but, it's so scary.
Why can't they get a diagnosis that gets him in a mental hospital for good? Yeah, they do this with what they call sexually violent predators before, where they're able to put them away sometimes in a decade or more. I don't see why. I mean, this is not sexually violent, but violent. I don't know why does it admit that these people are permanently dangerous, are permanently
I don't either. And my son has a permanent sentence.
yeah, just because it doesn't off with medication doesn't mean it's going to take it or it's going to work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, when we'll direct our listeners again to the GoFundMe, we'll have it up there at the GoFundMe.com. It's Love for Little Gavin. We search for it and find the GoFundMe for the family, Wendy, and you have another child as well. And horrible events in Local Well, that she lost her husband's cancer just a few months before it happened. So,
Right.
really tough times for you. Our audience came through, and now with this bad news, but this good news that Gavin is on his way to a small recovery. Yeah, we have a link to the GoFundMe on our website, so you can find it there as well. After you meet with the DA, call us and tell us what happened, all right?
I will.
We want to get an idea how long he'll be in the neighborhood for now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, thank you so much.
All right, guys, Wendy Ludwig, thank you very much for coming on and give our best to Gavin. Doing this story, we bring home the alcohol that the California criminal justice system is. We spent a lot of time on protect all this. Now look at this one little story of a little boy randomly attacked by someone who didn't even know. And as a result of the gangster and put in the those pieces of his tree and just finish the medication ceremony as well. And this has happened before. And what's wrong with some sort of sexual assault being got out here? Why is everybody so cruel? Why have they created a system that is so cruel and mean? The system is a symbol of dissent. But who are these people who criminal justice crowd just does not mean they get incarcerated? They want to find psychotic and really get vulnerable young little boys who are just out playing. I mean, and I don't understand. I want to meet these people. I want to meet the people who died with a psychotic, violent monster like this over a little gadget. It's hard to believe that in this case is calling out for so much sympathy for victims and none for the attacker. Except he has a mental illness. If he has a mental illness, well, Gavin's got permanent damage and it's done differently. As when he mentioned the year before, when they released him after this doing people, that's supposed to not have been on the street and doing an attack. What do they mean to the people who, what do they mean? What do they look like? The type of bureaucrats at the psych hospital? Yeah, the psych hospital is. What are doing? They know these people are going to go out and kill and attack again. Oh, yeah. Hurry up. Yeah. John says, KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And Jason Livingston in for Deborah Mark live in the 24-hour KFI Newsroom. The White House is confident it's in the clear, usually, for planning to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars of student loan debt. Others disagree. The Supreme Court hears arguments tomorrow. Saudi Arabia is providing critical aid to Ukraine as its war with Russia drags on. The Saudis pledge ticket was worth $400 million. Thousands of Lake Arrowhead residents remained snowed in after the weekend's powerful storm. Some parts of the town received up to feet of snow. Southern California weather from KFI. Light and scattered rain continues today. It will continue overnight and into tomorrow. Tomorrow's high in the mid-50s continues today. This report is brought to you by personal injury firm Owen, Patterson, and Owen. From the Southern California Toyota Dealer Traffic Center, let's go places. Let's roll into Glendale on the 134. On the Connector Road, 134 westbound transition to the 2 northbound, and actually just cleared out of the right-hand lane of this transition road, but you have delays on the west 134 from San Rafael to the 2, the Glendale Freeway. Eastbound side is nothing but brake lights from Buena Vista to the 210 Freeway. Michael Bryan is taking your drive through Woodland Hills and AFI in your side.
Yeah, doubles on the 101, Mike. A 101 southbound at this photo. Looks like there's 2 lanes to the 2-way lane, so that's just jammed up out of Calabasas. Up ahead, a little closer to 134 Express. And then once again, Hollywood, typical story, Hollywood Boulevard, on into downtown Los Angeles. Now, you take the 710 southbound Express, there's a bit of a problem there. There's still a little extra tight there from the 60 and a 405 northbound at Manchester. It's sort of for the 2 right lanes. It's back up to the 105, and you've got more going up ahead. The 10, over the pass. Michael Bryan, KFI in the sky.
USA in Anaheim, 57 northbound at Capella, and accident takes out the carpool of 2 left-hand lanes. KFI in the sky is up 50 there faster. I'm Mike Morris.
When accidents happen, clients soon realize that this is a fight for insurance company dollars. Access to this money is not easy, and all lawyers are not created equal. I'm Susan Allen, managing partner at OPL Law. Let us win for you. 888-OPL-WINS, OPLLaw.com.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Printing Marketing Services help small business print big. Down to $15 off signs, banners, and posters when you spend $75 or more. Offer ends 4/15. Visit staples.com/print-big-producer. This is your time to try Staples, where you print the perfect guarantee. Best-selling author David Harlan has a new bestseller, Final Battle, that reveals a not-so-secret war in America. So follow us in a new book from Richard on remaking a country and its institutions. Tomorrow's Final Battle reveals Joe Biden and big new plans, according to Harlan, stop Trump and DeSantis in 2024. And Harlan won the name's name. It's a fighter who says they're driving to name woke ideology. Get Final Battle and take advantage of the free offer. Call 1-800-2-TRACK. That's 1-800-2-TRACK. So go to finalbattle611.com to get your free copy today. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. A clean energy future is not the stuff of refuge. This is the stuff of everyday Southern California. To present the programs and leaders from SCE, we all have the power to create the clean energy California. Visit SCE.com/clean energy to learn more. Oh, God, I got PTSD from Barney. My kid was Barney. Barney's song, Barney's costume, Barney event, Barney's game. And I said, okay, I am done with Barney. This was last year. Phil Handle, I said, you guys are finished. Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the IR radio app. Johnny Stanko, John Codell, and Ken Stanko at KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the IR radio app. I've never heard of it, yeah. Oh, hope it's your own. Well, sometimes they hang on the microphone on the stairs. Oh, is that what you do? Okay. Yes, where's my wallet? Dear God. Where are you going? I didn't know where you were going. We had a call to the voice line last Friday that we played, and somebody ranting about the prisoners. I think they thought we spent about $75,000 or $80,000 a year, and just don't want to just give them that money. They're not going to cover it. No, you're wrong. Hopefully now says $106,000 per person for a year. They'll talk about the state prison. The plan is to close more of them, to unleash more of the dangerous people on you. We're just talking about the state psychiatric hospital system because an attacker of a little 7-year-old boy in Desert Hot Springs back in 2020 is probably going to get the easy participant once again sent to a state mental institution. It's probably released within a year or two. You know, with medication. Although, we're going to follow this story because it's got to be that because this time the voices of little boy with a rock. You know, physically was accused of some kind of sexual assault. We don't know the details of it. He got out quickly from the state psych hospital. I can't believe this time, a year or two, after doing this to a little boy, he would be released. I refuse to believe that, even though it's hard in California to not believe the word. We're going to raise Foley out. Well, we're not going to go to this story. Let me find out a year from now he's out. Yeah, no, every person in the state's going to know about this. This is just well, the first thing that I'm going to say is, someone keeps telling people, I didn't know what happened. We're going to have it for years. I told them, they're letting go now. I don't care what they say. I know what their objective is. They want to release everybody, and they'll have an excuse for every single one of them. They'll have some reasoning, some bogus study, some claim. They're a bunch of liars. They're evil. They're anarchists, and they're working on the inside. And they've got no logic, no sense, no intelligence. They simply want to destroy. That's what they're doing. When you decide you're going to release tens of thousands of prisoners, that means you want to destroy whatever peace and security we have out here. That must be your intention. I'm so sick of hearing the reasons. I don't care about the ideology. I don't care what they believe. They don't believe in insanity. That's not a way of life that normal people want. One of the things I believe that California voters did in a ballot measure a few years ago, I think it's one we were death on. Remember, John, it was trying to cut back on the appeals for people that got the death penalty. Remember that whole? Yeah. Yeah. And also in the you got it 10 years. They did 10 years. You have to be of course, we don't execute anybody, but there was talk that we built a whole new stretch loan that maybe because we're doing execute. We have judges who said the victim's families are right. You set yourself on a path. If you need to execute people in the state, you ought to go do it. But we can declare a moratorium, and that was that. So I think that ballot measure was also taking murderers and integrating them into the general prison population. Now, this convicted serial killer, Ramon Escobar, I don't know whether or not he got the death penalty or just life in prison without the possibility of parole. But apparently he had in a cell at the North Kern State Prison in Delano. And he got a new roommate the other day. I believe this was very recent. Named Juan Villanueva. Well, Escobar killed Villanueva. Not relation to Sheriff Alex Villanueva, but it happened to be his last name. Villanueva was done unresponsive. That's the favorite line, John, right? Unresponsive. Oh, he deserves it, though. Yes, this is one of these things where this is what you want to do. This is like putting the ugly gladiators in the ring. And sure, let me tell you something. So he got a life sentence, Villanueva, for aggravated sexual assault of a child under the age of 14. You got a life sentence for that. That's helping you up to this really nasty. Yeah, you don't want to know the details. Right? They don't have the details. Because you don't get a life sentence for just killing somebody, but just for the sex assault. This must be all right. So Villanueva was sexually assault young children. But his roommate Escobar, this guy was in the big league. He killed his relatives. And then he was homeless and started attacking people here in Los Angeles and Santa Monica. He was bludgeoning victims with bolt cutters or a baseball bat. These were homeless people. I remember the story. We covered it. As they lay sleeping on the beach or on the street, he'd walk up with a bat and just start wailing away. Yeah, it says, I remember this. It says we all but one were homeless. And I remember because the family of one of the victims contested that their man was homeless. I think that was the Santa Monica. I remember that story. They were even though I think it was sleeping underneath the field, if I remember correctly, he was bludgeoned by this man. Yeah, the family wanted to say, oh, no, he wasn't homeless. Sometimes he's just very tired after work. I'm not going to argue that. Well, no, because he was homeless, it's just the feeling of having somebody in the family being homeless. Yeah, and the family feel, so they try to correct the record. So Escobar did get a life sentence without parole, which I don't believe in anymore. He pled guilty to killing 5 men, injured 7 others in a gun mission. He also pled guilty to killing his aunt and uncle back in Houston. There you go again, John. Another guy who came to California and killed more people. I know. I think they have an express train that brings only violent criminals in California to live in the streets. Well, here's my question. He pled guilty to killing his aunt and uncle in Texas in 2018. Why don't they take him and kill him? They do the death penalty. trying to fear for the killing field. That's just the grasp and the triumph for killing the alcohol, put them on death row and giving them the old ejection. They don't explain how Escobar killed Villanueva. It was not that I think. No, just Villanueva was found unresponsive. Usually it's 16, 18, usually it's diluted gas or something like that. But we'll let it sound some sort of weapon. Yeah, I mean, Villanueva weapon. Villanueva got what he deserved. I wonder if there's a video of it. So now what do you do with Escobar? I believe in the booking photos that came with his Fox 11 story, Escobar's kind of smiling. Oh, because he's a psycho. The dead guy is got a grin. He's a psycho. What do you think they talked about and then it led to the murder of, it sounds like he was a child molester. It's never child molester. Well, farewell in prison. That's possible. There is that certain hierarchy where they want to kill thousands. I don't know why that's part of their code of honor. If both of them were housed in what it named the reception center, which processed prisoners at British detention throughout California. You can hold them there for 90 days, and then they figure out whether to put them in the state prison system, but this dead guy didn't make it. The other way that didn't make it. So, I mean, you're already in prison life without parole for killing a bunch of people. I mean, you kill another inmate. So he said, oh, they have much time. Most dangerous people are those with nothing to lose. That's why you should kill every roommate they ever give them. Doesn't matter. Yeah. All right, when we come back, it'll be more on the state prison system. This is a broader story. We have followed it for some time now. They continue to find ways to close state prisons, and now they may be closing several more. Maybe you hear how many inmates we're down to, how much it costs, and the plans to reduce it. Johnny 10 by AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeart Radio app. And just one off today, and we have Vicky Nielsen live in 24 hours at Israel. The financial features of up to 43 million student loan borrowers are in the hands of the Supreme Court. ABC's IT Jockey says arguments on the case start tomorrow. The first challenge to Biden plan is led by a group of Republican legislators that want the state to the lower court. They call the program an illegal abuse of power, a $430 billion giveaway without Congress's consent. The Biden loan forgiveness plan should cancel $10,000 in student loans for people earning less than $125,000 a year and $1,000 if they have more than 50% Pell Grant. Quinn in the Act poll says 53% of people in the U.S. approve Biden's plan, while 43% are against it. This is brought to you by Sophie Meyer Injury Attorney. The distributor of the Gilbert comic strip says it plans to stop working with creator Scott Adams over his recent racist comments. The company also operates Go Comics, which distributes Gilbert from its website this morning. Dozens of newspapers around the country also joined in saying they stopped running the office emergency comic series. The distributor says it's not censorship, it's business. We're going to check on traffic and lots of data on what you can right after this. Want to sell your home? It's called Seller's Advantage. Yeah, everybody has different reasons. Selling, some people want to downsize and move out. Some have inherited a property that they don't want. And other people say it's time for change. Whatever your reason for selling, Seller's Advantage. They have action solutions for your needs. Custom, you'll make a competitive cash offer. There'll be no repairs needed. It's a closing days. No complicated closing process that can be annoying. Contracts will not alter it. Seller's Advantage has been making sellers happy for decades, and they have the reviews to prove it. You call them today and find out more. There's no obligation offer to you at this number, 888-302-SA. 888-302-SA. That's 888-302-SA and sellersadvantage.com. Hearing number 0161658. Don't know what you want to pay by. Lightning continues to stay off and on for LA and OC. Highs are going to hit and probably are at in the mid-50s. This bunch of clouds in my range will continue overnight, moving below the 40s. Tomorrow again, partly cloudy skies, west scattered light rain in the mid-50s. Now, in Southern California, where the viewers have to spend it. Let's go, please. Now, let's check on the weekend. You're locked in. Freeway right at Laurel Avenue, a car broke down in the left-hand lane. That's causing a backup to the Sunnyhill Boulevard, and then up ahead to slow again on the east descent of the 134. Westbound side, you have delays in Pasadena between Wilson Boulevard and the 134. That's from in the middle lane of the roadway. Not far from there on the east end, right at the one end, the downtown block is acting in the right-hand lane. East end is from Cloverdale to the LA interstate. They have line the side, they'll get to their faster. I'm on Taylor. This is Leo Shakespeare, founder of Series Captain's Plumbing, Heating, and AC. If you're thinking of replacing your heating and cooling system, I have a serious question for you. Do you really even know what you need? There are so many companies out there offering different systems at all kinds of prices. How can you really know if what you're being sold is what you really need? What the price is right? We believe in educated customers with the best kind of customers. So give us a call, and we'll help you understand all the options that make sense for your home. If you already have a quote from another company, call us for a second opinion, just to make sure you're getting what you need and at the right price. Quotes and second opinions are always free. So call Service Champions at 833-777-7777. Find us online at servicechampions.com. Looking for your next investment opportunity? How about 100% passive ownership in commercial real estate? First National Realty Partners is backed by $1.5 billion in commercial real estate assets from Walmart, Whole Foods, Kroger, Publix, and more. Grocery store anchored commercial real estate offers day one cash flow from high credit national tenants. Tax advantages with 1031 exchanges, flex and finding triple net lease, and more. Get information on current and upcoming opportunities today. Call 888-301-9010 or go to FNRCradio.com. Become an investor in owned and managed commercial real estate with national grocery store brand tenants producing quarterly cash flow. Call 888-301-9010 or go to FNRCradio.com. Securities are only available to verified accredited investors. Investments are subject to risk, including loss of principal. Cash distributions are not guaranteed. Any representation made about investment stability reflects FNRC's strategy and may or may not be realized. Visit FNRCradio.com. For official rules and more information about contacts on this station, go to KFIAM640.com/rules. KFIAM640.
And I have a video station.
AM640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yeah, we're on from 1 to 4, so if you miss a moment live, you can get up the show on the podcast posted shortly after we go off the air at 4 o'clock. We take that 5 every day, degradation, California style. Well, you'll get stories you don't get anywhere else, and you'll get truth here you don't get anywhere else. It's the type of topic on which we look forward to over the years, and we continue to provide, like I said, as a public service. And by John, like some other outlets, tells you what you want to hear. We tell you what is really happening. So if you read the report, if you don't like it and you don't want to listen, that's fine. They don't. But we do not care. Nope. There are no cancels. Yeah. So we got the story from CalMatters.org about the California state prison system. California spends more than $16 billion a year on its prison system. I figured out first because that's what started all this years ago. We spend so much money on prison. Think about when all of the incarcerated people can really be the biggest productive members of the don't get college, but you know what I think? It all started this downfall. I think what it was is the progressive was into the prison. What you do is you do some market research, so focus, market selling yourself. What attributes in soap would make you want to buy their product? So, is it fragrant? With certain aspects, there you go. So when they call you a